Hello, everybody, and welcome to the USPBL Network. It's Polish American Heritage Night here at Jimmy John's Field as the Mammoths will take on the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. That's Brady Beaton. I'm Brennan Shabath. Brady here Thursday, starting off the weekend strong with two teams, Mammoths and the Beavers. Currently right now at the bottom of the standings, but very early in the season. A little gray, a little dark. Yeah. There's some stuff going on up in Canada, some wildfires having an effect on these northern states. We've seen some major league games, some other sporting events get canceled due to the lack of air quality. It's been a little bad here in Metro Detroit, but we are going to play today, just not as sunny.
Well, we've been more fortunate than others. You look at pictures in Philadelphia and New York, and it's yellow outside. It's not clear. It's been a little hazy the last couple days, but nothing too bad, and we should be doing all right here at Jimmy John's Field.
And between these two teams, hopefully it's not as hazy as it has been of late. For the Beavers, the struggles have been kind of compounded on both sides. Getting a lot of runs scoring, but giving up a lot of runs as well, trying to work out the pitching. And for the Mammoths, obviously, they come off that Sunday loss against the Hoppers, a 20-2 loss, record-setting run-scoring game for the Hoppers. And that one for the Mammoths is about bouncing back here on Thursday.
Well, that's one you just want to flush away, get rid of it. Don't think about it. You get in the clubhouse, you kind of sit there and you go, well, that one wasn't very fun. We just got to get rid of it. Don't think about it. Move on to the next game. And now you have an opportunity here against another team that's struggling to find their footing. Start of a weekend. Let's see what both these teams can do, specifically the Mammoths, and a lineup that's been moved around a little bit from last weekend.
Yeah, so Ward Hacklin is now the one spot leading off for the Mammoths. Burl Dixon used to have that spot. He's now two. We talked to Taylor Jellikowski pregame today. He's really happy with the heart of his order, looking to see if he can extend that production to the rest of the guys. But 2, 3, 4, and 5, Burl Dixon, Francis Florentino right now, the best hitter in the league, Priamo Lozada, and Nick Webb. Down there in that heart of the order is where a lot of the bulk of their run scoring comes from. And when you look at this team, we talked about it the past few weeks, how good they are on paper. It's because of guys like that heart of the order.
Yeah, and figuring out the lineup is always a tough task to do. You move Nick Webb down, Priamo Lozada up, and it's sometimes a feel thing. Sometimes you look at the analytics, but you have to remember, for a lot of these managers, they're new to these guys as well. They're trying to get a feel, and a couple weeks in, doesn't surprise me that you get a little bit of a shakeup, especially after such a tough one last weekend.
And for the Beavers, coming off a win in the non-public games on Tuesday, a couple wins over the weekend. We talked to John Dombrowski, manager for them, start of the game today. Some fresh blood in the pitching staff. Jesse Galindo will start on the mound for them, but they got some new guys in the bullpen who we may or may not see today. It's a long weekend for a lot of these guys. The Mammoths are going to play 4 times this weekend. The Beavers are going to play a doubleheader on Saturday after playing here on Thursday as well. So it's about making sure everybody's ready, and you start with Thursday planning for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, and you're going to see Jesse Galindo go as long as he can today. He's going to try to give him a leash. There's not going to be really a pitch count on him today. There's not going to be, hey, once you get through 3 or 4, no. Hey, Galindo was great his last time out, went 4 innings, very strong. See if he can make that 6-7 and set you up for not just one solid game, but a very successful weekend.
Facing Galindo on the other side is perhaps the best pitcher of the league through the first couple games, Garrett Martin. Brady and I will be back with more for the pitcher comparison and the starting lineups after this here on the USPBL Network.
There are many things you can rely on in this world, like a sunny day brightening your mood, your mom baking the world's best apple pie, and never a dull moment in running your business. And when it comes to time-consuming HR tasks, you can rely on Tryon. Tryon can handle payroll and taxes, employee benefits, and more, so you can stay focused on attracting and retaining the best talent. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
Welcome back to Jimmy John's Field, getting ready for our first game of the weekend here on Thursday night between the Mammoths and the Beavers on Polish American Heritage Night, and it's also Thirsty Thursday here at Jimmy John's Field. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's take a look at our proud sponsors for today's broadcast. It starts with Ascension, Belfour Property Restoration, Budweiser, Dave & Buster's, DTE Energy, Fifth Third Bank, Jarbcom, Jimmy John's, Macomb Community College, McLaren Macomb, McQuaid Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Refrigeration, Metro Detroit Chevy Dealers, Pepsi, Scott's, and United Wholesale Mortgage. We thank all of our sponsors for everything they do for this broadcast and the U.S. PBL network. Starting lineups between these two squads are about to be exchanged at home plate, so we will take a look at the lineups as well. We'll start with the visiting Westside Woolly Mammoths. Leading off and playing in left is Ward Hacklin. Batting second out in center field is the lefty Burl Dixon, who's off to a pretty hot start for the Mammoths. Taylor Jellikowski very happy with him. Francis Florentino, the hottest bat and the best hitter in the league, will play right and bat third. Priamo Lozada cleans things up as the designated hitter today for the Mammoths in the 4 spot. Nick Webb will be over at first base batting fifth. Alex Steinbach bats sixth and plays third on the hot corner defensively. Reese Trahey will bat seventh and play second base. Zach Beadle is behind the dish wearing the gear for the Mammoths in tonight's game. He'll bat eighth. And Denver Blinn, the shortstop, will bat ninth, rounding it out for the Mammoths. And on the mound for them is Garrett Martin, perhaps the best pitcher, off to a good start early on here in the USPBL season. On the home side, it's the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers, currently sitting at a 3-4 record in third place in the early season standings. Chris Davis bats first and plays in center. He's off to a pretty good start. A lefty at the top of the order for the Beavers. Second, and the designated hitter today is Travius Ford. He gets a day off of his legs defensively. J.D. Stubbs will bat third and play first. Malik Bolin is the 4-hole hitter. He'll bat fourth and play out in left field defensively. Tremaine Spears is out and right batting fifth. Andreas Ugarte is behind the dish batting sixth as the catcher today for the Beavers. Shoma Yoshida has the hot corner duties defensively. The left-handed bat will bat seventh. Batting eighth is Marcus Judd at second base, and ninth is Ben Wilcoxon at shortstop. They're led on the mound by Jesse Galindo, the right-hander who was here last year. Started as a reliever, turned into a starter eventually, and he will get the start today. Brady Beat and Brendan Shabath bringing you this broadcast. And Brady, 3 lefties against each side, both going against righties for these lineups today.
Well, the biggest thing I noticed when I looked at this lineup is the Woolly Mammoths have switched things up a little bit. As you mentioned in the pregame, Ward Hacklin moves up. Burl Dixon slots down, Lozada up, and I'm very curious to see how that impacts what's going on. But, yeah, there's a few lefties on each side, and both sides have a little bit of a different need where the Beavers, hey, they've scored some runs. Their problem is giving up the runs. The Mammoths, well, they haven't scored a whole lot, and they're trying to find the right formula in that lineup to make everything click.
Let's take a look at the pitcher comparison between these two today. Both guys have been good. It's Garrett Martin, who you see warming up in the bullpen right now for the Westside Woolly Mammoths against Jesse Galindo. Garrett Martin has 2 decisions on the year. They're both wins. The ERAs both at 3 or less. Garrett with a couple more innings than Jesse. He leads the league in innings pitched right now with the 14. Each have given up 6 hits. And there you see the strikeout to walk ratios. Very good early season numbers for both of these guys. Pretty similar in the fact that they're more going to get you with the stuff and the control. Not really a high-powered fastball from either of these guys. We've seen some high-powered fastballs to start this season. We've seen a couple high-powered fastballs leave the USPBL and sign with the Major League organization. But these two guys tonight, it's more about a lower-end fastball, mixing up the stuff, good picks, mitches, and get strikes.
Well, hitting's all about timing, and both these pitchers know how to keep them off timing and have a feeling that they're going to let both run a little bit. There's not going to be an inning count. There's not going to be a pitch count. So we could see a duel if both are dealing, go 5, 6, 7 innings.
And the thing with not having an inning count or a pitch count today that we kind of talked about down on the field earlier in the pregame is both of these managers trying to plan for the
Right.
rest of the weekend. The Mammoths got to play 5 games this week. The Beavers, they got to play 3 on the weekend today, and then they'll have the doubleheader Saturday. You got to prepare yourself in other games and hope that your starter can get deep early on, which is why it's also important for these lineups to maybe ambush a guy early.
Yeah, and the USPBL is a little different where you only play sometimes 3-4 games. We have a smaller roster, and you have to manage it a little different than you would, say, in the minor league of affiliated ball where you got a 6-game series. You're going to plan out for that. Hey, you're good to go here. You got the 3 games or 4 games in a weekend, and you have to find a way to tiptoe. I mean, you look at both sides and their pitching staffs. You have about only 8-9 guys to work with. So if these two can give you 6-7 innings and you only have to throw 2 or 3 other guys an inning each, hey, maybe they're available in 2 days on a little bit of short rest.
And you have to imagine that the platoon hitting is going to be important tonight with the 2 right-handers on the mound. The only left-handers in the league belong to the Beavers, but those are in the bullpen with Zach Gorey and Brennan Cox. Guys we might see tonight, but we mentioned 3 lefties for the Mammoths, 3 for the Beavers. It's going to be important that those left-handed bats can do some damage. It's going to start with Burl Dixon, who's the second hole hitter for the Mammoths, and leading off things for the Beavers today is Chris Davis.
Absolutely, and again, I really like that about 2 through 5. It's really, really solid for the Mammoths. Beavers, they have good hitters up and down the lineup, but Mammoths need to try to find a way to figure out, get that whole lineup going, because if they do, hey, maybe they can rip off another 3-game winning streak.
We will step aside for the national anthem and one last water break before we have first pitch here to start the weekend on Thirsty Thursday at Jimmy John's Field on the USPBL Network. Stick around. First pitch coming up in just a moment.
Jimmy John's Field is the perfect venue for birthday parties, summer picnics, company outings, and provides the best entertainment in Metro Detroit with great baseball all summer long. Spend your summer nights under the lights at Jimmy John's Field in historic downtown Utica.
You hear about the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
There are many things you can rely on in this world, like a sunny day brightening your mood, your mom baking the world's best apple pie, and never a dull moment in running your business. And when it comes to time-consuming HR tasks, you can rely on Tryon. Tryon can handle payroll and taxes, employee benefits, and more, so you can stay focused on attracting and retaining the best talent. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
Check your checking. If your account doesn't get you pumped, amped, or geeked, make the switch to Genius Checking from Genesis Credit Union. It's just genius.
Slide into a new home. Work with a local mortgage pro who works for you. Get a cheaper, faster, easier home loan. Find a mortgage broker near you today at findamortgagebroker.com.
Jimmy John's Field is the perfect venue for birthday parties, summer picnics, company outings, and provides the best entertainment in Metro Detroit with great baseball all summer long. Spend your summer nights under the lights at Jimmy John's Field in historic downtown Utica.
Back here at Jimmy John's Field, downtown Utica. Hazy skies due to the Canadian wildfires. The air quality less than ideal, but good enough for us to play some baseball here today. It's the Beavers and the Mammoths getting ready for first pitch. Jesse Galindo this season in his fourth appearance. This will be his second start. Has yet to have a decision, as you saw earlier, that 3.00 ERA, 9 total innings. And Brady, John Dombrowski hoping that total can get up to maybe 14, 15, even 16 tonight.
Yeah, hoping to use him for a while. The one thing that I like about Galindo is he's got a little bit of a different arm slot, and he can change it up depending on the pitch. Sometimes it's up higher, more traditional, goes down to a 3/4 at times. That's another weapon you can use as a pitcher to throw off a hitter.
Galindo on the season, giving up a 188 batting average to opponents. Right now, the early strikeout to walk numbers are very good. He's averaging 12 strikeouts to just 2 walks per 9 innings. And those guys in the USPBL, and I guess that's sort of cliche because it goes with any league you go.
Right.
But the premium strike throwers are the ones who have consistently been the best and been the most consistent, who are able to time in and time out a couple of runs here or there. Maybe one start is better than the other, but they stay pretty much consistent for the whole time.
I mean, baseball, it's a pretty simple game as you try to figure out how to get those simple answers, but throw strikes. That's a big thing. Strike percentage, getting it in the zone. You can't defend the walk. We saw that on Sunday where just felt like the Mammoths were walking everybody. So if you're putting it in the zone, you're at least giving your team a chance.
And let's take a look at the defense behind Jesse Galindo tonight. It'll be Malik Bolin out in left field. Chris Davis is in center field, and Tremaine Spears is in right field. The defense, as always, brought to you by Three Dimensional Services. Across the diamond, left to right, Shoma Yoshida at third, Ben Wilcoxon at short. Marcus Judd is the double play combination up the middle at second base. J.D. Stubbs, the first baseman today, and Andreas Ugarte is behind the dish, rounding out the battery between he and Galindo. It'll be Ward Hacklin, Burl Dixon, and Francis Florentino to start, as we are moments away from first pitch on Polish American Heritage Night and Thirsty Thursday. Pretty good combination,
First one of the year.
Yeah. Everybody loves a good Thirsty Thursday.
It's a little cool for a Thirsty Thursday.
Do they?
Yeah, it's what? Maybe touching 70 today?
Yeah, it's a little chilly. Obviously, the hazy skies take the temperature down a little bit. Now, what I've seen in the past on many broadcasts at many different levels and many different sports is a lot of times they'll bring food to the booth for the broadcasters. Do they bring samples for Thirsty Thursday?
I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because that is a slippery, slippery slope. Literally and figuratively.
Little Harry Carey action in the booth, huh? So it looks like we are now just about ready between Galindo and Hacklin.
I like this job, so I'm not going to start quoting Major League because there are people watching.
Good crowd tonight. Chevy Pavilion is pretty packed. The umbrella tables are busy. Got a live band out there in right center field at the Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union sound stage. And the first pitch is in there for strike one on Hacklin. 7:05, and we are underway. Hacklin, 1 for 10 start at the dish in his 6 games played. He's only started 4 of them. Off speed, in for a strike.
That was a big looping curveball.
Galindo, 4 pitches, fastball, changeup, curveball, and slider. Fastball doesn't overwhelm you.
He brought the arm down to almost a sidearm angle there. Again, sometimes that can help, but if you're tipping your pitches, if you know both the pitch by the arm slot, it can actually be a detriment to a pitcher.
0-2. Fought off foul again.
Looks like that's what he just did. Looked like he went fastball with the sidearm and then fastball straight over the top, trying to keep Hacklin guessing in the box.
And that's what sometimes those guys that don't have the high-speed fastball have to do. They have to be crafty to get hitters out at the plate. We've seen that be successful here in the USPBL in the past. Popped up on the right side, foul ground. Is there enough room for Stubbs? There is not. That catches the railing at the bottom of the grandstands.
Been a good battle for Hacklin leading off the game, making Galindo throw at least 7 pitches.
And if
that's
you're
a quality at bat, that's what you want out of your leadoff man.
If you're Taylor Jellikowski, for a guy who's been struggling to get started, that has to be a good feeling too, seeing him fight off a couple good foul balls, forcing Galindo to make some good pitches, and now he's worked it 2-2. And that hit him. Hacklin catches it on the elbow, and after falling behind 0-2, a couple 2-strike foul balls, takes the hit by pitch and is awarded first base to lead things off.
Looked like a fastball, just had a little bit of running action on it. And it's not as if Hacklin was very far off the plate, so it didn't miss that bad. It's just Hacklin crowding the plate, just caught him just enough.
First pitch to Dixon is outside. Burl Dixon, the lefty out of Sacramento, California. A good start to this year. Under the zone, 2-0. We thought that might be a possibility as a guy who was in a major league organization with the Kansas City Royals back in 2019. 3 seasons there until 2021. And he talked about it, said, you know, that experience at that level he thought could be useful to him, and it's clear he sees perhaps maybe the most pitches of any player in the league right now per at-bat, and he's worked it 3-0 early, and that's just a 4-pitch walk for Dixon.
That adds to his league-leading now 9 walks early on the season. He's been a guy that's, I think, caught the eyes of a lot of USPBL fans early, and most certainly the man coming up to bat after him, Francis Florentino, right up there in the discussion along with him. He has bursted onto the scene.
Florentino in 8 games, 12 for 28 at the dish. He's hitting .430 with .467 on base and a .643 slug. That one's up over the middle. Base hit, and being held at third base is Hacklin. And the bases are loaded with nobody out to start things early for the Mammoths.
I like that hold. Have the bases loaded. No need to run into the first out of the game at home plate. You like the next 2 batters coming up. We talked about it in the pregame. Lozada, Webb, both guys that Taylor Jellikowski is going to rely on. You hit a fly ball, heck, it might not be the best case scenario, but even if you hit a hard ground ball up the middle, you're up 1-0, you get the run in, you might not want the double play, but anytime you can take a lead in the first inning, you're going to take it.
This is the textbook start for any manager. First 3 batters on, nobody out, and your 4-hole hitter up at the plate looking to do damage. The 1-0 fought off foul by Lozada. Lozada with a good start, 7 for 27, does have a home run to his name as well, and 6 RBIs to lead this team. Ball and a strike, clips the bottom there with the fastball, 86 on the gun.
Those are the pitches he needs to make. Very top of the shin, bottom of the kneecap. Not much Lozada could have done with that.
Another one fouled back.
It was a very defensive swing from Lozada. think he might have been sitting off speed, and at the last moment made the adjustment, spoiled it, gets to see one more.
Hacklin at third, Dixon at second, Florentino at first. The 1-2. Swing and a miss. Bounces away. And Hacklin thought about coming home for a moment, but Ugarte grabs it quickly, and that's the first out on a strikeout in the first K of the day for Galindo. That brings up Nick Webb with one out.
Nick Webb's been off to a little bit of a slow start. He's a guy that before the season you highlighted and thought this one might be a newcomer that could have potential and be a guy we talk about. And Taylor Jelenkowski agrees with us, putting him in the 5 spot. That's a premier spot in the lineup. Now, want to see the results come in.
Well, this is a guy who's played collegiately at perhaps the highest level of anybody in the USPBL, and he just punches a single into left. Dixon being waved around. Hacklin's already scored. The throw is a good one. They got him at home. Nice dart from Malik Bolin out there in left field. The first baseman turned left fielder, and they save a run at the plate. Hacklin scores. It's an RBI single, but Dixon out at the dish.
And there was about one spot he could have put that throw, and that's where it was. One hop went in the right-handed batter's box away. Dixon was trying to slide to the outer part of the plate, and all that Ugarte had to do was grab it and tag, and the throw did all the work. That's a heck of a throw from Bolin.
Bolin has spent a lot of time on his defense in left field. He started and came in only ever playing first base essentially in his entire life, his entire career up to the USPBL. And last year, there just wasn't a ton of space at first defensively with Ari Sakopoulos, the best hitter in the league a season ago, who was very good on the defensive side of the ball at first base as well. So they had to keep Bolin in the lineup. So Jim Essien, the manager of the Unicorns last year, tried him out and left, and they had their struggles as the runner goes. Florentino over to third base with no throw is an easy stolen bag. So runners at the corners with 2 outs. And Bolin has worked through it for the most part to improve his defense and become a better outfielder, and that happens with the throws as well. We see it there.
Well, we were on the field before, and I was joking around that the manager, John Dombrowski, he never stops moving and, well, keeps the defense working, and it paid off that inning.
Galindo gets Steinbach to swing and miss for the strikeout. 2 strikeouts in that inning, but a run is scratched across with Ward Hacklin. But the highlight throw from Malik Bolin. Now let's go down to Kara Wolfbauer with the Thrifty Florist sweetheart of the game.
You hear about the promo that Jimmy's John's got going on? 5 off 20? How they pulling it off? Magic? You got David's Copperfields in there? Show yourself, Copperfields!
Jimmy John's. $5 off orders of 20 or more.
There are many things you can rely on in this world, like a sunny day brightening your mood, your mom baking the world's best apple pie, and never a dull moment in running your business. And when it comes to time-consuming HR tasks, you can rely on Tryon. Tryon can handle payroll and taxes, employee benefits, and more, so you can stay focused on attracting and retaining the best talent. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
Slide into a new home. Work with a local mortgage pro who works for you. Get a cheaper, faster, easier home loan. Find a mortgage broker near you today at findamortgagebroker.com.
Garrett Martin on the hill with the pill for the Mammoths to start the game today, making his 4th appearance and 4th start with some of the best early season numbers here in the league. A 1.29 ERA. That's good for 3rd in the league with a league-leading 14 innings pitched so far early this season.
Been a good start, but a small sample size. This early in the season, if you let a crooked number go up in just an inning and you get chased early, all of a sudden, those really nice numbers you thought you had, they can balloon pretty quickly in your first 20, 25 innings.
Martin will face Davis, Ford, and Stubbs to lead things off in the first. He's been really good against righties, and it's, again, an early sample size. But perhaps when you looked at the fact that Garrett Martin has given up 6 hits to start the season, 3 of them have come against righties, and there's way more righties in the league. That's 32 at-bats against right-handed batters, just 13. So lefties are 3 for 13 against Martin on the season. Looks like the platoon might be starting to play a factor early for him as Davis swings and misses at the first strike. Slider in for strike 2, and all of a sudden, quickly, Garrett Martin ahead 0-2 on the leadoff man for the Beavers, who's off to a very hot start, 9 for 25, a .360 batting average. Fouled back.
You can tell he's already in a rhythm. He gets the ball back, he's back on the bump, he's ready to go. I know you only get one timeout, but use it strategically. Maybe try to throw Martin off his rhythm a bit.
0-2. Davis skies this one to right center. Under it a little bit as Dixon is there. Out number 1.
Ball was not carrying a whole lot in batting practice. There were some off the bat that you thought, oh, okay, that one goes out by 50 feet, and it ends up not even making it to the warning track. So I think a lot more line drives and ground balls will be effective here today. Just doesn't have that carry today on the deep flies.
The flags are relatively still. The wind hasn't been too much of a factor today, and BP has traditionally served as a decent indicator for the way the ball will fly off the bat on a given day. As Ford looks at a curveball for strike 1.
There are some hard hit balls in batting practice that just hit a wall about 300 feet from home plate. It's going, and just straight down, stops.
Again, 0-2 advantage for Martin. Up and in, and Ford fights it off. Travius Ford mentioned that he's gunning for the stolen bases record in the USPBL. 27 of them last year from Elijah Brown. Curveball got him swinging. First strikeout of the day for Martin.
Ford's going to have a little bit of competition in that stolen base department. Heck, in the opposite dugout, Francis Florentino has gotten off to a fast start. I believe with the stolen base in the top of the first inning, he already has 7 on the year.
Florentino leads the league with 7. Ford's not too far behind. He's got 5, but he's 5 for 5. Florentino has been caught once already. But yeah, those two guys quickly off to a good start.
There's some speed in the USPBL early this year.
High and tight on Stubbs, and that is the first ball that Garrett Martin has thrown. The first pitch called outside of the strike zone for a ball. It's 1-1.
Mentioned the strike thrown. So hard when you can do it with multiple pitches at any given time.
And that's what I asked Taylor Jellikowski, manager for the Mammoths. Why has Martin been so good? Obviously, he's been good. We can just see the numbers. But what does he do in particular that makes him so successful early on? And he said he's just a gamer, and the fact that he just throws strikes. All he does is fill up the strike zone and make hitters hit the ball, and they just haven't been able to do that.
Stubbs was looking for a fastball there. He was looking for one he could have put onto the hill in right field.
It's a four-seam changeup, curve, and fork ball for Martin. Fouled back again on the full count. Martin comes from Gypsum, Colorado. Spent 3 college seasons at Marion in Wisconsin, and then 2 more at Middle Georgia State in the NAIA. Stubbs rockets one to right, but it took in foul. 5 years in college. Plenty of those kind of super senior and 5 or even 6-year college guys making their ways to the professional leagues now in all sports after many of them have moved on from COVID. A lot of them got the transfer year as well.
I'm sure we'll see a lot more when the college showcase coming up here shortly. Heck, we've already seen a few arms come in from the collegiate ranks now that their season's over, replacing Wazinski and Bischoff.
Right.
And there have been already some guys getting off the graduation stage and coming here to the USPBL.
Swing and a miss. Stubbs fought hard in that at bat, but down on strikes. 1, 2, 3 inning to start things off for Garrett Martin and the Mammoths. After one, they lead it 1-0, and they're batting on the other side of the break here on the USPBL Network.
They call me Prospects. Since the day I was born as a diver's watch, the challengers of the world have taught me many things. Life is not a numbers game. It's about challenging ourselves. No matter what happens, just follow your heart. These pioneers drive our generation forward. Not by setting records, but by never giving up. Keep going forward. Prospects.
Available at Lucido Fine Jewelry.
At Ascension, Michigan, we're committed to being your first choice for healthcare. Our nationally recognized heart program is the leader throughout Michigan in minimally invasive heart valve procedures. For joint replacement, spine, and cancer care, patients choose our specialists for advanced care and treatment. And we also excel in the things that can't be measured. Listening more closely, caring more compassionately.
Jesse Galindo and the Beavers already with a 1-run deficit, just the 4th run and 4th earned run to be scratched across this season against Galindo. Came from Ward Hacklin, who reached on a hit-by pitch in the first inning. It's the bottom of the order due up here in the second. Reese Trahey, Zach Beadle, and Denver Blinn will face Galindo.
Let's see how Galindo bounces back. I also want to see how the bottom of this Woolly Mammoth order does. This is a part in the lineup that's been struggling. It's why Taylor Jelenkowski switched it up a bit. Let's see how they respond when Galindo's looked a bit hittable through the first inning.
Strike one to the lefty, Trahey. And for Reese, it's been a 4 for 23 start, 217 batting average. Does have an RBI, 3 walks to 8 strikeouts, but what Jelly really likes is the way he competes, the way he battles, and those guys have always been successful in this league.
A little old school, too. No batting gloves, literally between pitches, picking up some dirt, rubbing it on the hands. Something you don't see too often nowadays.
Drops under the zone, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Trahey comes from Michigan State, a local kid. Hometown West Bloomfield, not too far from here. Went to Brother Rice High School over there in Birmingham. 4 years as a Spartan in East Lansing, 74 games. Similar numbers there, only batted .191, but was a pivotal part of that roster and that lineup in the years he was there for how competitive he was. A utility guy who can play almost anywhere in the field.
Well, if the hitting numbers aren't there, you have to find a way to make yourself useful, and being versatile makes yourself useful, especially in this league where you look at both lineups, there are 2 position players on the bench for each side. There's not a lot to work with for both managers, so being flexible means you can move guys around and give them the odd off day.
And Trahey works a walk.
Not a bad pitch. Ugarte tried to sell it. Thought he sold it well enough, but, well, apparently not, and that's what you always want to see from the leadoff man, work a walk.
And that's the second walk already today for Galindo.
Already
again,
31 pitches for Galindo. That's not what you like to see, especially when you were hoping to let him loose a little bit and hope to get 5, 6, 7 innings out of him.
Galindo didn't start much last year, so still adjusting to that. He made 22 outings. Only 3 of them were starts, all coming later in the season. Beetle in the air to left. Bolin is under it. There's the first out. And for Galindo, it feels like he's got 70, 80 pitches in the tank, maybe more. But it's about how many you can throw and still get outs.
Right, and again, the USPBL is a little different. You don't get into that rhythm that most professional leagues do where you're playing six days a week and you know you're throwing every 5th day. You might get a chance on a weekend if it's a doubleheader. You might get 3 live innings. Now with some of the non-public games going on, starting to get a little more of that. But really, this is, week 3 or 4 of the season? For the pitchers working their arms, more like week 1 or 2.
Inside, nearly clipped Blinn. Trahey faked like he was going to run over there at first.
Don't think Galindo was happy with that pitch. You could tell he's a little visibly upset. Whether it didn't have the break he wanted or he thought it was going to hit him, was something about that he just wasn't quite happy with.
Slider misses, 2 balls and a strike. It's primarily that slider that is thrown sidearm, and the curve is the one that comes over the top. We've seen the fastball from both sides. There's another slider.
Again, he's got to throw that fastball from any arm slot, because if he doesn't, it becomes way too predictable. And that's the one thing you can never be as a pitcher, is predictable and give the batters another advantage.
Blinn staying alive, off to a 3 for 25 start. Has played and started in all 8 games. 24-year-old out of West Fargo, North Dakota. Swing and a miss. 3rd strikeout for Galindo, and a big one to get the 2nd out after the leadoff walk. Turns the lineup over to Hacklin.
Had that battle the first time up, was eventually clipped with a pitch. Let's see if Hacklin is patient or an opportunity maybe get a first pitch fastball, try to jump all over him.
Gets a curve instead for strike 1.
Galindo has not been afraid to throw the off speed to start an at-bat.
There's the heater, misses inside. Decent speed from Trahey over there at first.
He's been dancing around over at first. Wonder if he's thinking about going or just trying to be a distraction.
This one's on the ground. Past the diving Stubbs. Trahey looking at 3rd. He's going to try to stretch it, and he will go 1st to 3rd as the base hit from Ward Hacklin puts runners on the corners with 2 outs. And maybe the best hitter in the lineup for a scenario like this, Burl Dixon, coming to the plate.
That hit from Hacklin, that makes up for the one. You hit right on the screws, and it goes directly at someone. That was not hit hard. It was a jam shot. Just was able to muscle it into right field. Now you have to face some of the best hitters, not just on the Mammoths, but in the league, in a tough spot, trying to avoid another run going up on the board.
Dixon on the ground. That is caught and fair. Stubbs steps on the bag for 1. He threw to 2nd. That was already the 3rd out. Lost track for a moment, but, man, you talk about putting one on the screws. That is 4 and out. Dixon barreled that one up directly down the line in a nice defensive play by J.D. Stubbs as he gets some chirps from Taylor Jellikowski for losing track over there. Saves a run. It's still 1-0 Mammoths as we head to the bottom of the 2nd here at Jimmy John's Field.
Slide into a new home. Work with a local mortgage pro who works for you. Get a cheaper, faster, easier home loan. Find a mortgage broker near you today at findamortgagebroker.com.
With a transforming world, we can see how drastically the world is heading towards automation. And so, we need 24/7 surveillance and security systems for our homes and businesses to avoid any theft or breach of privacy. JARBCOM brings the installation of security cameras to the tip of your fingers with our state-of-the-art mobile app. JARPCOM also provides surveillance monitoring of your entire property with flexible options that offer a dependable solution to be scaled to fit any domestic or commercial need. Contact JARPCOM today for a free estimate at 800-369-0374 or look us up on the web at jarpcom.com.
One, two, three inning for Garrett Martin in the first, looking to keep that up in the second. Fly out, strikeout, strikeout. He'll face Bolin, Spears, and Ugarte here in the second with a one-run lead. And how about that play from J.D. Stubbs in the last inning? Saving a run for sure, maybe more than that if that ball gets into a bad spot down the right field line. We've seen that happen before.
Yeah, and that was a heck of a reaction. He was a little slow diving to the field on the previous play that time, showing off the leather. The dichotomy of baseball in that little snippet of time. Each one, well, one should have been a hit, one shouldn't have been a hit. Just the results flipped of what you thought.
On the ground to third. Scooped up there by Steinbach. Throw over, barely in time to get Bolin by half a step. 2 pitches and an out already. That'll bring up Tremaine Spears for the Beavers. Nice frame job by Beadle behind the dish to get strike one on the fastball from Martin.
Perfect pitch on the low outside corner to go 0-2. Martins came out, didn't have to get in a groove. He came out ready and already in one.
Just misses. That looks like the same pitch that got called for strike one. 3 straight fastballs to Spears. Where does he go with the 1-2? He goes off speed, and it's hammered down the third base line and fair. Spears rounding first, digging for 2, all the way in the corner to pick it up is Hacklin. He finally gets it into the cutoff man, and the first base runner and base hit today for the Beavers is a Tremaine Spears double here in the second.
That's a hanging breaking ball, not what you want to do, especially ahead in the count. Never want that bender to stay above the belt, and well, it looked big and juicy for Spears, and he made him pay with the one-out double.
There's a chance for Ugarte to get an RBI. He's already got one this year in his 4 games played. Off to a 2-for-11 start. First pitch, same one. Curveball finds the zone, this time on the front doorstep. Fastball got him swinging, perfectly placed, low and in. Quickly 0-2.
Working out of the stretch has not affected Garrett Martin. Got the first 4 batters down rather quickly. Goes to the stretch, just keeps filling up the strike zone.
Just a bit outside for ball 1. Martin, despite the pitch clock that's been implemented here this season, works very fast. He's getting every pitch off by about the 8 or 9 second mark. That one comes with 13. Right back up to him. Grabs to make it. Throw to first, and that's the second out. He couldn't hold the runner, Spears, as he advances to third.
I thought he might have had a chance to hold him at third. He caught him in no man's land between second and third, and I think he gave him the look, almost just out of habit, to go, all right, I got to look him back. And usually they're hold, and he wasn't holding, and he just didn't react in time. He runs over to third. He probably gets him in a pickle and gets the lead runner out now. 2 away, take care of Yoshida. It becomes a non-issue, but I thought he could have gotten the man between second and third in Spears.
Spears was dead in the middle between second base and third base.
And Spears was surprised that either A, that he caught it, or B, that he gave over and looked at him.
There's the pitch clock. 13 seconds on the delivery. Martin is getting that back in.
I
There's
found
only
with a
20
lot
seconds.
of pitchers, they have just sped up. They want to get into a rhythm. They get back. They don't wait around. They don't even want to make it a chance that the pitch clock comes into play.
Yoshida out to center field. This one curling to left center where Dixon is to make the grab, and the double does no damage. Still 1-0 Mammoths after 2. A nice defensive play from Martin on the mound. 3 outs, and we'll head to the third.
Check your checking. If your account doesn't get you pumped, amped, or geeked, make the switch to Genius Checking from Genesis Credit Union. It's just genius.
You dreamed of starting a company, not an HR department, but your business has grown fast, and so have the complexities of payroll and taxes, benefits administration, and other HR functions. That's why your business needs a professional employer organization like Tryon Solutions. Tryon provides businesses of all sizes access to top-tier healthcare and employee benefit plans. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
The Dave & Buster's method is designed to help you unlearn adulthood and reset our life around zapping stuff and cheering for stuff with your friends. Begin the method today with 5 free games. You know you want to.
Polish American Heritage Night here on the US PBL Network. Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union Soundstage is busy tonight with a band out there providing some good polka music all night.
Always enjoy when we get a band out there. And I think the Mammoths have enjoyed their time coming to the plate. Only one run has come across to score, but we're already getting midway through the second time through the order. They've sent a lot of men to the plate. This is what, number 12 already to start off the third?
This will be number 12. They've already had 7 base runners in those 11 previous batters, Florentino being one of them. He singled on the ground over the pitcher's mound to center field the first time up. That 2-seam fastball just missing outside for Galindo. Good life to it, though.
Galindo needs to help his own cause. Get that first pitch strike, work from ahead, especially to a batter like Florentino.
That one in for a strike.
Not too dissimilar from that last pitch. I think a good sell job from Ugarte.
That low and away corner hasn't been a consistent ball or strike tonight early. Florentino fights that one off.
Go with something outside of the zone here. Florentino likes to swing. He doesn't like to wait around. See if you can get him to chase something way outside or in the dirt.
Pot off again.
Thigh-high fastball is not the spot you want on 1 and 2.
Florentino has only worked 2 walks on the year, struck out 4 times. It's because pretty much any time he comes up, he gets a hit. 12 for 28 to start.
Hitting 429, you can excuse the low walk rate.
It's a bouncer to short, leaping to make the grab, and a throw is a nice play by Ben Wilcoxon to get the out. Kind of a weird big hop on that second one, and Wilcoxon was ready for it. A nice job.
Florentino a bit upset. I think he knew he had to pitch to hit, and he let one get away.
Brings up another good hitter in Priamo Lozada, the designated hitter at that tonight. A powerful bat right in the middle of this Mammoths order. Right back at Galindo, and he snagged it. Good morning, Jesse Galindo. He makes the grab for the second out.
Oh, that made my heart sink. Oh, wow. That's nothing but pure instincts. That is self-defense, fight or flight. And luckily, thankfully, Galindo gets the glove up in time.
You
And that
can
face
see
says it all.
Lozada's face. He thought he had a for sure at least base hit, maybe more with how hard that thing was smoked.
Say, if we had exit velos, I'd have loved to see it because it probably went out faster than it came in.
Ooh, nearly knocked Galindo's glove off, but he was able to make the grab. A nice job And now he's ahead 0-2. Boy, wouldn't this be a big inning for Galindo if he could get a 1-2-3 right here against the heart of the order, the 4, 5, and 6 hitters.
It's what he needed. A short, quick, low-stress inning.
Pitch count.
Yep.
Now just 51. Be big if he can get this third out right here.
Still a little higher than you'd like. I mean, wanting to work deep, you want to keep it around 15 or less an inning, but this is a step in the right direction.
And a couple outside. Nibbling with 2 strikes. It's now even. And inside to fill it up. Webb is the damage doer the first time through the order for the Mammoths. He had the RBI single to left that scored Hacklin in the first inning. The payoff pitch is outside, and Galindo has to be frustrated with himself there from 0-2 to 4 straight pitches outside the zone and a 2-out walk.
You got to help your own cause. You're 0-2, and after 1-2, the next 3 pitches weren't really even close. Webb never even had to really consider offering at any of them.
Brings up Steinbach, who struck out his first time. Up the middle and caught by Judd. Might have been a broken bat there. That had a weird sound. And that's the third out. Nice job from Jesse Galindo, and that is our 5th third outs of the game, brought to you by Fifth Third Bank. Keeps it at a 1-0 ball game. And now JJ, the field general, brought to you by Michigan First Credit Union, will head out to shallow right center to greet our field umpire with a water, and he's rewarded in exchange for some lovely treats.
Best part of any game right here.
This is what we come to see. Now we'll send it to Kara Wolfbauer for the DTE Kid Race the Mascot. What do we have to do to get a stuffed animal up here in the booth?
Where's our stuff? I'll race a mascot. I'll run.
I would dust a mascot if there's a stuffed animal on the line.
I'll run 270 feet to get a stuffed animal.
The Beavers have yet to run 270 in this game, trailing 1-0 right now. Garrett Martin has been off to a very good start. Just 7 batters faced, 6 of them sent down. The only hit of the game comes from Tremaine Spears, last inning a double down the left field line. So it'll be Judd, Wilcoxon, and Davis, 8-9-1 hitters here in the third.
And that double really was the result of one bad pitch. It was a hanging breaking ball, and Spears made him pay. Besides that, he's been attacking, filling up the zone, and while picking up right where he left off. I have a feeling that he's going to be stretched out a while. We might see him deep into this game.
You talk about the one bad pitch and the premium strike throwing for Garrett Martin. That hanging breaking ball came on a 1-2 count as well, and just a nice job by Spears, some good 2-strike hitting to punch it out into left field.
That's what a lot of good hitters will do. You might only get 2 or 3 really hittable pitches in the span of a game, so you have to take advantage of them when they come, and especially when you're playing a really good pitcher against like Garrett Martin.
Judd lost the bat quickly, 0-2, and we were discussing the pitch count for Jesse Galindo. It's at 55, I believe, right now, and you see the difference through almost 3 innings for Garrett Martin. He's at 30 right now. Still has to get through this third, and the Beavers have yet to really do any damage with what's been a pretty good offense to start this season.
Garrett Martin's been a pretty good pitcher to start this season as well, and seems like he is, like I said, he didn't have to get in the groove. He came out in the groove.
The 0-2 outside. Beavers as a team through the first 7 games, hitting .220 with an .853 OPS. Up the middle and softly off the end of the bat. Martin will just scoop underhand for the first out.
That's where you want to locate the off-speed. Looked like the slider working away, and it started middle of the plate, ended up maybe a inch or two off, and that's all really that Judd could do with it, ground it softly on the infield.
Ben Wilcoxon steps up for the first time. Wilcoxon out of Lexington, Kentucky. First pitch grounded to third. That stays fair. Fielded and thrown over to first by Steinbach, but it gets away. All the way to the dugout it goes. Wilcoxon coasting to second. He's going to try for 3. Stopped for a moment. Now still going. The throw is not in time. He's safe. That was going to be a tough play to get Wilcoxon at first, who runs well anyways, and he takes advantage of the error and gets all the way over to third.
And that error will go on Steinbach, but he was not helped out. The first baseman, Webb, knew it was going to be a close play, so he was trying to stretch out first. Hey, in that situation, you have to worry about making sure the ball doesn't get by you. He was already stretched out, so when the ball is a little off target going to the outfield side of first base, he had no opportunity to reach on the backhand, and that's why it got as far as it did. In that situation, hey, if he's safe, he's safe. There's fast guys, they can beat out slow infield hits, but don't let one mistake become 2, and now you have a runner on third just because you were trying to get that extra stretch for an out, and you probably weren't getting him anyway.
It's hard to think about this in the moment, too, but not only do you have a runner on third now, or even on second if he didn't get all the way to third, you have a runner in scoring position with the top of the order 2 up for the Beavers as well as the lineup flips over, Wilcoxon being the 9-hole hitter. Curveball misses well outside. 2-1 on Davis.
Yeah, infield singles happen, and it's not a situation, hey, if it's bases loaded or runners at the corners, that's the final out of the inning, and you're trying to prevent a run from scoring. I can see you taking a risk like that going into the stretch early, trying to get to the ball as soon as possible. Nobody on, 1 away. Hey, cut your losses, come off the bag, get the ball, and give it back to Martin because he's been dealing.
2-2. High and tight, 3-2. This is just the second 3-ball count and second count of the game that Martin has fallen behind in. He had a full count to J.D. Stubbs and struck him out back in the first. Fly ball to center. This should get the run home. Dixon, medium depth. He's got a pretty good arm out there. This is going to be a close one. The throw comes in, and it's cut off right at the mound as Wilcoxon scores standing up, and an RBI on the sac fly from Chris Davis. Ties the game at 1.
Well, I think the reason why the count went so deep is that's what Martin was trying to avoid, trying to dance a bit around Davis, trying to nibble at the corners, just get those on the edge of the strike zone, and instead, in a deep count, the sac fly, and, well, Chris Davis does the job, ties the game up.
Right to third base on a line, and Travius Ford is out on 1 pitch. But the damage is done as Ben Wilcoxon took advantage of the throwing error from Alex Steinbach. Davis scores him on the sac fly, and we're tied at 1 after 3 innings. Back after the break.
One thing that makes Detroit Mercy unique and different from other universities is that the faculty truly care about you and they're always there to help. Whether it's asking questions after class or going into the office hours, they're always there to lend a hand and really make you feel at home.
People are here to work together, and whether you have a question or you're discussing topics within the class, you can go up to your professor and they know your name. They're just willing to help you become a better overall student.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
Fifth Third Bank. Yeah, it's a quirky name. But here's the thing, 5/3 equals 166.7%. So we put 166.7% into everything we do. Like automatically getting you your paycheck up to 2 days early, giving you well-deserved extra time to avoid overdraft fees, and helping you borrow from your future self. This is banking a Fifth Third better.
Jesse Galindo getting a little bit of run support from his offense last inning. 1-1 is our score between the Mammoths and the Beavers as we're ready to start the fourth inning with Reese Trahey, Zach Beadle, and Denver Blinn, the 7-8-9 hitters in the Mammoths lineup.
And mentally, it can do a lot when you come out not trailing. Hey, you gave up the one run in the first, so what? Behind you now, and you look at the line score, and maybe haven't gotten there the same way, but if you just showed up to Jimmy John's Park or tuned into the broadcast late, 1 run, 3 hits, 1 error compared to 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, feels like it's been a pretty similar night, even though Martin's been a little sharper than Galindo.
That last inning, as far as the pitch count goes, a big one for Galindo to keep it low. Just 4 batters. One of them was a walk. Trahey grounds this one. This is going to be a tough play for Judd. He'll scoop it, throw to first. They got him. No, they say he's safe. Our field umpire says Stubbs came off the bag. We'll have to take a look at this one up here in the booth. I don't know about you, Brady. I thought, obviously, they had him.
It pulled him up a bit as well, and I think that might be what it is, but I want to go back to something we talked about last inning. You see there, Stubbs went with the ball, didn't try to stretch on the close play, and saves it from being a wild throw. As we get another look at it, I think it brought him up. It wasn't so much off, I guess, or off laterally as vertically he came off the bag. His heel had to come up just enough, and I do think that was the right call.
So nonetheless, it is a leadoff base runner for the Mammoths with Reese Trahey. On the ground to third, and a big hop over the third baseman, Yoshida. Into left field it goes. Gets by Bolin, and now Trahey's going to go to third. And over to second goes Beadle. And the defense becoming a factor here in the fourth. 2 on, nobody out. Both in scoring position for Denver Blinn.
It's interesting. They scored that hit for Trahey. So apparently figured that being pulled off the bag didn't make much of a difference. And then another bad hop in the bottom of the Mammoths order, doing some good things. Now Blinn just needs to do the job.
We'll see if they give Bolin, and that could be a hit and an error on the last play. It's certainly a base hit for Beadle as it hopped over Yoshida's head at third, but that might be an error by Bolin out there in left to advance the runners. It hasn't gone up on the board yet. This one's popped foul and out of play.
I agree. I think that does have to be an error. A runner moved up. And that's usually the deciding factor. And again, maybe that play at first, you argue he beats it out anyway, and that being pulled off the bag isn't much of an issue, but a little bit of some defensive woes from usually a really solid Beavers defense.
Inside, did that clip Blinn? It sure did with the curveball, and that will load the bases. The second hit batter of the day for Galindo. And a top of the order due up. Big spot for the right-hander on the mound. A big spot for Hacklin, who's already had a good day. He's reached twice, once on a hit batter, the other on a single. First pitch swinging out into right. Going back is Spears. He'll make the grab. Tagging from third is Trahey. Both runners tag, and Trahey scores, and a sacrifice fly for Ward Hacklin.
And let's dissect how this run comes across the score, because this is where the little things make a difference in baseball. First guy gets on, you want to call it an infield hit, you want to call it an error, whatever. He gets on a bang-bang play at first, which was a tough play for Judd. Then the next play, a bad bounce goes over the head of Yoshida, and then you hit a batter. So after making 2 nice pitches near the bottom of the order, you don't get rewarded. You make your first mistake, and instead of it being in a better world, nobody on with 2 out, 2 on, nobody out. You hit them, bases loaded, you get a routine fly ball, but it's deep enough to score the run.
Dixon deep to right field. He pimped that one. It is way back and gone. A 3-run blast opens the floodgates. The first of the year for Dixon. And the Mammoths take a big advantage here in the 4th.
He knew he got every stitch of that one, and he enjoyed it. Ball's not carrying tonight, and it still went to a deep part of right center and cleared the fence by about 10 feet.
That's 4 runs now here in the 4th as Hewitt took a hit hard from Dixon.
Duncan Hewitt got to join me up here. Florentino has a little bit of a higher vertical than Duncan Hewitt. Can get up just a little bit more and, put a little bit of force behind that as well.
So that's the first home run of the year for Dixon. His RBI total is now up to 7 as he plates Beadle and Blinn to make it a 5-1 game. Florentino, I think, broke his bat as that was in on the hands on that foul ball, so he has to get a new one.
And again, Galindo's made what? 2 bad pitches this inning? Hit a guy and then served one up to Dixon. That's all it takes.
It really hasn't been much, and still only 1 out here. Florentino, Lozada, Weber, due on deck. A tough 3-batter stretch coming up for Galindo if he can't get out of this, and Florentino fights another one off foul. That is an impressive home run from Dixon. As you mentioned, Brady, the ball's just not carrying, and he went over the deepest part of right center.
And some of the more traditionalist crowd does not like the more pimping, and I get it to an extent. And there's a line you can't cross, but hey, you hit a bomb like that for a 3-run shot. That's one I would enjoy as well.
Florentino a little looper to short, and that's the 2nd out. Yeah, I think when you catch it that good, you might get to enjoy it a little bit as the bullpen's getting ready for the Beavers.
Now, the flip side, we've seen it a few times, not in the USPBL, but you'll see it every once in a while where you think you pimp one. You better be sure it's over that fence. You don't want to have a trot to first base and you hit one 380 feet and you get a single out of it.
So 2 outs for Lozada. As we mentioned, a pretty good crowd here today on Thirsty Thursday. This one chopped to third again, both foul. Inning started with a single from Reese Trahey, followed by another one from Zach Beadle. Beadle put his down the left field line and both advanced to second and third on an error. Then Galindo hit Denver Blinn to load the bases. A sacrifice fly from Ward Hacklin scored Trahey from third, and then the 3-run bomb from Dixon puts us where we are, 5-1 Mammoths. The 0-2 outside to Lozada. That's Ryan Mann getting warmed up in the Beavers bullpen. The Mammoths bullpen is desolate, and for good reason with the way Martin's pitching. Lozada down on strikes, the 3rd strikeout for Galindo. His first since the 2nd inning. That's the 4th strikeout for him. 3rd out of the inning. And the Burrell-Dixon 3-run blast gives the Mammoths a huge advantage. It's 5-1 as we head to the bottom of the 4th here on the US PBL Network.
What makes Detroit Mercy so unique is the fact that it's in the middle of Detroit, and especially with their service learning programs, you really get a chance to be a part of the community.
Detroit Mercy. Build a boundless future.
We're the financial champion of Michiganders. Whether you're a goal-getter, or dream chaser, an empty nester, or up-and-comer. Anyone in Michigan can bank with us. Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union.
First State Bank is a locally owned and operated business. We're part of your community. At fsbcares.com, you'll find ways that we're making a difference by featuring locally owned and operated businesses, providing access to helpful financial resources, and engaging with community. fsbcares.com is part of our commitment to the neighborhood because strong neighbors mean stronger communities.
Where good neighbors do great things.
Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
It's time for the bottom of the fourth, and when it's time for baseball, it's time for beer. Two Hearted Ale has been named the #1 beer in America for the past 4 years by members of the American Home Brewers Association. Play ball with the best. Two Hearted Ale, the iconic American IPA from Bell's Brewery in Comstock, Michigan. Please drink responsibly as we celebrate Thirsty Thursday and Polish American Heritage Night. Garrett Martin on the mound, now working with a lot more room, a 4-run advantage thanks to his offense and Burl Dixon the last half inning. Stubbs, Bolin, and Spears due up for the Beavers. Just 40 pitches through the first 3 innings for Martin is a very good stretch. Stubbs checked his swing and went too far for strike 1.
After a big top half of the fourth, keep the Beavers' hopes down. Keep the momentum away. Get another goose egg on the scoreboard. Don't let them scratch any runs across. And, well, you're feeling pretty good now at about the midway point of the game if you can do that.
You're obviously always looking for your starter to go out and have a shutdown inning, which Martin has had 3 of them so far pretty much, but perhaps even more so after you have a big offensive inning like the last one for the Mammoths. Because if the Beavers can even just get 1 here, their hopes have got to be so much higher than if they go 1, 2, 3 as Martin could.
And if also you want to keep the pitch count low amongst that. But, yeah, momentum-wise, psychologically, you get 1 or 2 back, go, okay, we kept it under control. We're within reach. We still have 4 or 5 more at-bats to go. And we're solid where if Martin comes out and it's 1, 2, 3, all right, we're back out in the field. It's like, already back out here.
Smoked out to right, but curling foul, and that got caught up in the wind. Maybe not quite home run distance. Stubbs has been a tough out today for Martin. Popped up. This will get back over the bleachers. The first at-bat, by my count, was 9 pitches. This one has already been 7, and Stubbs will see an 8th right here. And that's over the second baseman's head into right center for a base hit. J.D. Stubbs with 2 good at-bats. The first one ended in a strikeout, but this time he gets the better of Martin for a base hit.
Really nice job, and talk about having a bounce-back inning from the Beavers' perspective. Starts with getting the leadoff man on. Good battle. Nice contact, finding the barrel from J.D. Stubbs.
Bolin grounded out his first time up. So far this year, Malik Bolin, 5 for 24, just above 200. Does have 2 home runs, tied with Davis for the team lead.
You're just going to get a healthy dose of the off-speed. The one he hit last weekend was a fastball that he turned on. Don't know how many fastballs he'll see tonight.
The 1-1. Off-speed again. Right. Those were the toughest, and typically are the toughest hitters to pitch to in this league, the ones who just dominate fastballs.
If you do throw a fastball, you do want to miss, and I don't think Bolin's gotten a fastball yet this at-bat. I don't think he will. 3-1, he's got to be sitting for it.
Off speed, clips the corner.
If you're not getting a fastball 3-1 with the runner on first, I don't think you're getting a fastball ever.
Full count now. Martin sets. Love at the belt. Bolin grounded to third, and it gets by. Steinbach couldn't pick it up. Stubbs trying to stretch this to third base. Quickly getting it in was Hacklin. Stubbs is safe. Now Bolin will stretch it to second on the throw that went to third. And again, second and third, nobody out for the Beavers this time.
Well, the Beavers are setting themselves nicely for that bounce back inning. And Martin, I mean, the one run he gave up was on an error and then a sac fly. That's not necessarily his fault. The heart of this Beaver order responding very nicely after giving up 4 runs in the top half of the inning.
Spears a chance to do some damage here. This one's in the air to center. Stubbs backed up. Dixon makes the grab. Both runners tagging. The throw goes to short as Bolin retreats back to second base. And a nice job by Bolin. Perhaps distracted Dixon a little bit and allowed Stubbs to score easily from third. It's 5-2.
I actually like that play from Dixon. Probably not throwing out Stubbs at the plate. It would have to take a perfect throw. And instead, why not keep the runner off of third? Now a sac fly doesn't score him. Now a ground ball up the middle doesn't score the run. Limit the damage. It's a heads-up play from Dixon. I really liked it. Best case scenario, you catch Bolin sleeping, but you keep him at second. Not too bad now. Martin can breathe just a little easier knowing that, hey, a fly ball doesn't score a run, a ground ball up the middle doesn't score a run.
The sac fly is just the first out of the inning for Martin. Now up to nearly 60 pitches. It was back-to-back full counts with Stubbs and Bolin. Spears flew out on the first pitch. Ugarte in a 2-0. Out to center. Going back is Dixon, just short of the warning track. He'll make the grab. Bolin will tag this time for third. Moves the runner up 90 feet with 2 outs.
That's why Dixon on the previous play kept the runner at second. If he's at third, if he tries to get the out at the plate and he moves up to third, that's an easy sac fly. Now Martin has a chance to limit the damage in the fourth only with the 1 run if he can get Shoma Yoshida, who has been struggling mightily out of the gate.
Yoshida just 1 for 12 in his first 6 games. This is his 4th start of the year. Inside, skips away. Bolin's coming home. The throw back to the plate is bobbled, and it squirts away from Martin as Bolin is safe to make it a 5-3 game as he scores on the wild pitch.
Bolin would have been out. The throw was there. It didn't squirt away far enough, but just couldn't squeeze the mitt. It was a good throw.
It was a nice job by Beadle to get there quickly and get it back to Martin. Just not able to grab it. And that's a tough play for any pitcher to make when you know that guy is barreling at you towards the plate. You could see they collided a little bit, and Bolin quickly looked to Martin to make sure he was okay.
Right.
Nobody's
Yeah,
hurt.
you don't want to take out anyone's legs, especially a pitcher covering. That's where it gets tough. But man, I don't know if it was never in the glove or it popped out of the glove on the tag, but that's one you're going to want back.
Now 2-1 on Shoma Yoshida. Native of California, playing third base today. Looks at a ball inside, 3-1, and maybe the fatigue starting to get to Garrett Martin a little bit. We had mentioned up until 2 1/3 innings, had only had 1 3-ball count. He's had 4 since then. All of them have been full as well as Yoshida swings and misses for strike 2.
The other thing I want to look at, no strikeouts since that first inning. That means he's not missing as many bats. He was getting softer contact. Second time through the order, had a line out. We've had a couple doubles. The sac fly was fairly deep. The fly out from Ugarte, if he pulls it at all, it's way gone.
Yoshida swings and misses at the high cheese for the first strikeout since the first inning for Martin, but the Beavers do get 2 to scratch across. Stubbs and Bolin score. It's now a 5-3 game and a 2-run deficit as they head to the field, and the Mammoths will head back up to the plate.
Companies are competing for talent like never before. With the complexities of handling tasks like payroll, benefits administration, and other HR functions, it's easy to see how a professional employer organization like Tryon Solutions makes all the difference. Tryon empowers businesses of all sizes to attract and retain talent by offering access to top-tier healthcare and employee benefit plans. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
We build roads, bridges, wind farms, and pipelines, schools to skyscrapers. Our members create monuments. We operate. We're the operators and mechanics behind the advanced heavy machines that move Michigan forward. We maintain boilers and HVAC. Our members run the complex heating and cooling systems that we all depend on. Our training is second to none, and safety is our priority. We are Operating Engineers 324, and we keep Michigan running.
Five to 3, Mammoths lead it. Jesse Galindo, the starter for the Beavers, is done. It'll be Ryan Mann taking over on the mound.
And they're probably going to ask him to go more than just an inning. I'd imagine maybe 2. If he's going really well, maybe they can stretch it to a third, but they're probably hoping for Mann to get him through the 6th. They can piecemeal it from there. Very tall righty, has not had a ton of success early in the USPBL season.
So Galindo finishes 4 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs on those hits, all of them earned with 3 walks and 4 strikeouts.
And it was a mixed bag with Galindo. There were times he looked really solid and then times where, well, maybe he deserved a bit of a better fate. That last inning was not entirely not on him. Lady Luck was not looking down on him in the 4th.
Nick Webb looks outside for ball 1. It'll be Webb, Steinbach, and Trahey in the 5th. Mann, 5 pitches in his mix. Webb fouls one off. Has both fastballs, a 4 and a 2-seam, a knuckle curve, along with a circle change and a slider. The 1-1. Curveball outside.
One thing Mann does that's very interesting is sometimes he'll look down mid-windup as he steps. See him look down right there.
Fouled back.
Now, a lot of things with pitching mechanics, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If things are going well, if he's got the command. But that's got to be tough to look down, come up, and then immediately refocus on your target as you're throwing in.
2-2 on the ground to short. Backhanded sliding stop by Wilcoxon. The throw to first. What a play! A great put out for the first out from Ben Wilcoxon at short.
How about that smooth backhand popped up into a throw? That was all one motion. I didn't think he had a chance to get him when he gloved it, but that's probably going to end up being one of the top plays of the month at the end of the season.
Absolutely.
Or end of the month, I should say.
Steinbach looks at strike 1, so the putout goes 6-3 for the first out. Inside part of the zone for strike 2. It looked like Steinbach didn't quite agree with the call. Just tipping it was Steinbach. For Mann, he comes out of Lawrenceville, Georgia. Spent 5 seasons in college, 2 of them at Kennesaw, 3 at Georgia Gwinnett. There's a couple of Georgia Gwinnett players in the USPBL. Currently the first baseman on Mann's squad for the Beavers, J.D. Stubbs.
I didn't know a whole lot about Georgia Gwinnett until, well, started meeting all the guys here.
Yeah. A former pitcher from last year, Greg Lokinen, also a Georgia Gwinnett alum. After college, played for the West Virginia Black Bears in the MLB Draft League with his other Beavers teammate, Tremaine Spears. They were both on that squad together.
This is a battle from Steinbach.
Couple of 2-strike foul balls to stay alive at 1-2. Steinbach 0 for 2 today. Strikeout and a line out. Some good eats on a thirsty Thursday. Fouled back again.
One and two, maybe you throw one out of the zone. Steinbach's been in swing mode. See if you can get him to chase when you have a pitch to waste.
Popped up foul. There might be room for Stubbs this time, though, over towards the dugout. That one just kept carrying. Steinbach again. That's 4 2-strike fouls now for the native of Plainfield, Illinois.
Either go with the fastball about collarbone height or go with a breaking ball in the dirt. Steinbach's been battling. Got to make him show that he's got to show the discipline that he won't chase just anything.
And you saw Ugarte go out there to talk with Mann, and almost a little bit of frustration from Mann, and that's got to be tiring. Each pitch, you know it's a good one. The guy keeps fouling it off. That one's high for ball 2.
I like the high fastball.
Nobody on, 1 out. 5-3 Mammoths lead it here in the top of the 5th. Curling inside, got him looking with the curveball. That's strike 3 on a good battle from Steinbach, but it's won by Mann. His first strikeout.
The front door curveball got Steinbach, and I don't think he agreed with that too much. He had a bit of an exasperated look on his face as he went back to the dugout. I think that's a pretty solid pitch. You set it up with the high fastball, change the eye level, you bring in the low inside curveball. Like that sequencing from Mann. I wonder if that's what Ugarte was talking to him about.
Yeah, maybe Ugarte goes out there and tells him, hey, it's 1-2. We can waste a pitch here.
Right.
Throw the high fastball, see if he chases. If he doesn't,
right.
we'll come back with the off
set
speed.
Up the 2-2.
And that's what defines the best catchers in baseball. Obviously, you can look at the guys with the big arms, the guys who are good at blocking behind the plate, but those who can call the game well are going to have a long road ahead of them in the world of baseball. And John Dombrowski likes what he has early from Andreas Ugarte. He's not going to wow you at the plate, but his defensive skills, he can do pretty much everything back there. On the ground to first, Stubbs picks it on a low hop and steps on the bag for the 3rd out. It's 5-3 Mammoths through 4.5 innings, and Kara Wolfbauer is standing by with the manager of the Mammoths, Taylor Jellikowski, in just a few moments.
A long way to go from the third base coaching box all the way over to the dugout.
Yeah, Jelly's got a long run over there. His team leads it 5-3, switches the helmet for the hat.
Thank you.
And now he's down there with Kara, and we will go ahead and send it that way.
Remind me I have a shout out at the end of it. Okay. I'll try to remember. I might forget.
I'll probably forget too. But.
Mic test. All right, Carol Wolfbauer here with Taylor Jellikowski, the manager of the Westside Woolly Mammoths. Now, Taylor, the Mammoths have come off a rough couple of games recently, so tell me what it's been like to turn this offense around and be up now.
Right. I mean, it's just about controlling what you can control. Like, Priam was a guy that's been hitting the ball hard all year, right? And he's getting down on himself when he hits a ground ball to the shortstop. It's okay, right? We're seeking hard contact. We're not seeking hits.
And like you mentioned, Priamo and guys who have been doing super great so far this season, but if you look at your roster, you've got amazing guys individually. I think it's just finding that gelling together right now.
Right, 100%. I'm going to bring in the Ted Lasso to this team and get a big sign that says believe and all that. So, yeah, it's going to take a little bit to mesh together. We've only been together a couple weeks, so long season ahead.
Yeah, so we look forward to seeing them gel together, and I believe you have a shout-out for somebody.
I do. Adrian Guzman, happy birthday, brother. I love you. I miss you.
Thank you, Taylor. Now, we'll see you guys soon back on the USPBL Network.
Thanks, Kara. I love Jelly slipping in the Ted Lasso reference. I haven't seen the last episode, so nobody spoiled it yet.
I've never started it.
Man,
I just haven't had the services to watch it.
Yeah,
because
Apple
everything's
TV.
on a different subscription. But one thing I did like that he talked about, and it's one of the biggest things in sports that it's hard to do when it's not going your way, but it's being process-based and not results-based. Like, look at Priyama Lozada, like he said. Hits a missile back up towards the pitcher, throws up the glove and catches it. Now, if you want to get into the deep stats, the analytics, the expected average or expected on base from that swing, it's probably pretty high. You hit a ball that hard up the middle, you're probably getting a hit more often than not. But you look at his line score, if you just go through the box score, it goes, 0 for 3, bad day. He hit a ball harder than maybe anyone outside of Burl Dixon's hit today, and that's something that when you're struggling, you don't want to hear it as an athlete, but you have to know if you keep doing the right things, eventually you will start to get the results.
There's a couple guys in the league who have struggled with that. Talked with Joe Burke pregame today, first baseman for the Eastside Diamond Hoppers, and he's had that ever since he's been in the league. Last year and a little bit this year, he went 0 for 4 with 4 barrels in their last game, and talked about it could be worse. Obviously, the box score doesn't look pretty, but it's not 4 strikeouts, and it's about they were good swings, and baseball's a game that usually evens itself out. Judd back up the box. Martin couldn't squeeze it at first, but is able to collect himself and throw to first to get the out.
And that's why in the major leagues, a lot of guys don't make an assessment on someone until minimum 500 at-bats, because that's when you just start to get enough of a sample size to really form an opinion. And you take that down to the lower levels, like in college baseball. You're not getting anywhere near those at-bats in a season. When you get up to minor league ball or the major league level, that season is basically a hot stretch for some guys. So you can hit 450 in college ball, but you get to the pros and it's a lot longer. So early in the season, as long as the process is solid, the average up on the scoreboard might not look great, but you have to keep the faith and know if you're doing things right or not, and if you need to change things, or just keep doing what you're doing.
Part of that is why there is maybe so much ambiguity as Wilcoxon puts this in the air to left. Hacklin easily camped under it, barely had to move. Maybe so much ambiguity in the scouting and recruiting in the world of baseball. At any level you go, there's, well, this guy hits like this, but this guy's got the numbers, and, do the numbers support what the guy's process, and does he have a good-looking swing versus does he just get on base?
That's what a lot of those analytics will try and tell you. I know, again, some of the traditionalists don't like all the new analytics, and there's a middle ground where you can't go solely on numbers. Baseball isn't played on a spreadsheet. But what you want to do is use those analytics to either say, okay, the numbers I'm seeing, the average, the home runs, the RBIs, the on-base percentage, that's real or not.
Davis lined to second.
Perfect example right there.
And caught by Trahey. That's a good swing, but Trahey's right in the perfect spot, and that's the third out here in the fifth. We've played 5, and it's 5-3 Mammoths as we head to the 6th inning here on the USPBL Network.
do these business owners find the time for peace of mind? Because they rely on Tryon to handle difficult and time-consuming HR tasks like payroll, benefits administration, and more. Working with Tryon, one of the nation's top professional employer organizations, provides access to top-tier health care and employee benefit plans and its team of attorneys and HR experts. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
So only one inning for Ryan Mann as Brian Camacho steps onto the mound for the Beavers. Mann had a 1-2-3 inning, a ground out, a strikeout, and another ground out. Does just what he needed, and kind of not what we expected, Brady. We expected Dombrowski to use the least amount of arms possible.
Right, and there's more than one way to go about it. Maybe the thought process is, okay, hey, Mann got us through an inning. Low pitch count, let's get him out, and we can save him and try to stretch him out on Saturday. Use him for maybe 2 or 3 innings. He did well. He got us through the 5th. Good job. And maybe that's the idea. If I use 4 or 5 guys for 1 inning and they throw under 20 pitches, that's not much different than a bullpen session, and you have room to maneuver on Saturday. But I have a feeling at this point, this is your inning. You're not going to see a lot of mid-inning changes. And if you have to burn a guy, might just, hey, all right, we're counting him out for Saturday. Let's get our use out of him now.
Yeah, that bullpen for the Beavers is very busy. I think I count 4 pitchers in there, not including the catchers. There's 6 guys over there. So maybe
like
an inning apiece.
It might be a straight
to get
pitch count
through
limit.
this game.
Yeah, look how many armbands there are. How many? Who's the catcher? Who's the pitcher?
There's not even room to throw.
That might be a fire code violation.
It's 1-0 to Zach Beadle. Popped up, fouling out. Beadle today, 1 for 2. Singleton scored back in the 4th. Waiting on deck is Denver Blinn, and then the top of the order with Ward Hacklin for the Mammoths here in the 6th. 6th inning brought to you by Fifth Third Bank on the USPBL network. Camacho, a returner to the USPBL, was with the Unicorns last season. Now slid over to the Beavers side. 4 appearances, all in relief so far this year. A sub-3 ERA, only 6 2/3 innings, so a small sample size. Brian, one of the harder throwing relievers from a year ago, did have a fastball touch 95 at one point last season. Fouled back. There's Tyler Richley in the bullpen for the Mammoths. So we'll see if Garrett Martin's day is done or if Richley will start the 6th. Full count on Beadle. Camacho last year found 16 1/3 innings, a 4.41 ERA with the Unicorns. Primarily just fastball slider mix.
I like this battle from Beadle to lead off the inning. New arm out of the pen. You're getting to see all of his stuff in this first at-bat. Then you work a walk. Oh!
Wow.
Oh.
Strike 3 called.
Oh, come on.
Beadle down looking.
He's got a beef.
Yikes.
And it's always a little different when it's the catcher that gets rung up because he's going to come back out and he's going to say, hey, come on, I need to get that call for my guy too. That was a full ball width off the plate inside. It was
maybe more.
It was right below the hands.
I mean, Beetle crowds the plate, but he still had to move out of the way of that one.
It was,
oh boy.
Yeah, that's as much of a pitcher's pitch as you will see all night long.
So now no balls and a strike on Blinn. Waved at the slider.
Gonna hazard a guess and say he was not guessing slider. That was a very slow looping pitch.
Oh, 2 in the dirt.
Why not? He just chased one way outside. 0-2. Put one in the dirt. See if he'll offer at it. You slowed him down twice. Bust him up high and in with the fastball.
Blinn struck out his first time up, was hit by a pitch the second time, and came around to score in that inning. That was the big 4-run fourth for the Mammoths. Outside 2-2.
I like the idea with the fastball. Didn't think it missed too badly.
Yeah, I mean, well, compared to the last one that got called for a strike.
Well, maybe if the strike zone's moved in, then that's. Hey, if you're going to give on the inside, you have to take away from somewhere, you'd think.
That one well into the dirt off the shoulder pad of Ugarte, and now a full count.
That's usually something with a release point or trying to overthrow it. And that one made it maybe 55 feet.
Payoff pitch. Popped up infield. Second base. Judd's got it. And 2 down. Some in-depth analytics, Brady, by my scorecard, the first pop out of the game.
I technically gave a pop out to Florentino when he went over to short, but again, it's semantics.
Right.
It's not been a lot of.
That was a loop out.
Yeah, a bloop out.
That was a loop out.
It wasn't like those high pop-ups on the infield,
right.
But Ward Hacklin up to the plate, and he's done a nice job out of the leadoff spot.
He's had a really good game
Long
today.
at bat, gets the hit by pitch, singles, and then drives in a run on the sac fly. Almost challenged a little bit, moving from the 9 spot up to 1, and, well, he's produced in all 3 at-bats.
A guy that Taylor Jellikowski wanted to see how he could do handling a new challenge, going up to that 1 spot, and he's done well. See what he can do here. 2 outs, nobody on, and a 2-0 count. Camacho trying to go 1-2-3 in relief. Skips one in there. 3 balls, no strikes.
Have to get a better look. I don't know if it's the landing spot or his release point or what it is, but Camacho is consistently missing, not low, but short of the plate. And when you're missing in the same spot all the time, that's almost always a mechanical issue with the pitcher.
And a 4-pitch walk.
That was
and
the best of
the.
That's the best of the 4, but
it's just the same pitch that he called the strike early.
Right. When you're missing bad in that bat and it's 3-0 and you've bounced a couple in, it's hard to get upset when the 3-0 is borderline and you don't get the call. But another walk for Hacklin. Well, I should say he got hit by a pitch and then drew a walk. But he's done another nice job out of the leadoff spot.
Fireworks from this guy the last time up. A 3-run blast from Dixon is the difference in this ball game right now. And it's just, there's so little room for error, it feels like, with this Mammoths lineup. You know, you give one away to Hacklin as he goes down to second on the wild pitch, and it's bounced in there. He's safe.
Did that catch Hacklin?
It took a weird deflection. I don't know if
it was hard to tell if it was Wilkinson's glove.
I thought Wilcoxon knocked it down.
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, they were right there. If he catches it, it almost catches and tags at the same time.
Outside 2-1, but, as we were talking about, the lack of room for error, 4-pitch walk to Hacklin, and now Dixon comes up with Florentino waiting in the wings. The heart of the order just does so much damage for the Mammoths. You have to take advantage when they're not due up. The 2-1. 3 balls and a strike. And maybe the damage in this case for Dixon isn't necessarily done with the barrel, but 4-pitch at bat going to be at least 5, and maybe he works a walk here and gets another runner on.
Hacklin moved up to second. Dixon after that last at bat. Yeah, maybe. I'm not going to groove him anything. If I miss, I miss. I'll deal with Florentino.
3-1 popped up foul and out of play. Dixon wanted to swing on a 3-1. So another full count. The third of the 4 batters that Camacho has faced. And that's ball 4. Dixon takes another walk. His second of the day. Back-to-back walks for Camacho. And tough spot, 2 on, 2 out. Francis Florentino at the dish.
Again, I'd rather take a walk with the way Dixon's been swinging it today. I know Florentino, he came into the game leading the league in average. He's been one of the hottest hitters.
He's 1 for 3 today, singled his first time up, and then a pair of ground outs since then. Seems to do well in some of these big spots, too, though. Some players just have that knack, that kind of almost quirk of when there's that runner on, when there's a guy in scoring position, when you need a 2-out hit, they're just better than normal.
Well, he introduced himself to us with a big-time moment, not at the plate, but defensively, robbing what would have been a opening day walk-off home run. He stole it from over the right field fence.
That was robbing Bryant Schellenbarger and the Hoppers, who would eventually go on to still win that game. The 0-2 swing and a miss. Camacho comes back from back-to-back walks with 3 straight strikes to the batting average leader in the league right now, and starves 2 runners on base. It's still 5-3. Beavers batting in the 6th on the other side of the break.
How do these business owners find the time for peace of mind? Because they rely on Tryon to handle difficult and time-consuming HR tasks like payroll, benefits administration, and more. Working with Tryon, one of the nation's top professional employer organizations, provides access to top-tier healthcare and employee benefit plans and its team of attorneys and HR experts. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
5-3. Mammoths on top of the Beavers, as it's Travius Ford, J.D. Stubbs, and Malik Bolin. 2-3-4 due up in the home half of the 6th. Garrett Martin back out on the mound for a 6th inning of work. 75 pitches through 5 innings. They are going to trot him back out for what I would assume would be his final inning of work. First pitch to Ford, low and away. Ford 0 for 2, strikeout and a line out in his 2 plate appearances. Ooh, not a bad pitch. Misses 2-0. Martin has done a nice job today. And he has earned this 6th inning.
Usually how Taylor Jellikowski likes to look at things. Just 3 runs on 4 hits. And a scattered couple defensive misplays have maybe moved up some runners for the Beavers as well. And Ford works a walk, and the 3-ball counts are starting to rise, though, and that's perhaps cause for concern for Jelly and maybe why Tyler Richley is up in the pen right now for the Mammoths.
And Garrett Martin looked a little disgusted with himself, did not like that. He gave up his first walk of the day. And that's the reason you can work into the 6th inning, get into the middle late innings, is because you don't walk, and that doesn't inflate your pitch count.
Skied to third. Caught by Steinbach. First out on the pop out. Brings up Malik Bolin. Singled and scored his last time up.
Still hasn't seen a fastball tonight, but he did a nice job last at bat. Put one down the left field line, ended up on second base. Don't think he was expecting that fastball.
Big swing and a miss.
This is the game within the game.
Martin steps off and looks Ford back. We know Ford has the speed over there at first base. Likely see him go at some point in this at-bat.
Well, you think he just threw Bolin a fastball. Hasn't thrown him one all day. Doubt he goes back-to-back fastballs. So you're going to get something a little softer here. If you can get the jump, it's a chance to put yourself in scoring position with one away and a dangerous hitter at the plate.
Ford goes, throw down to second, pretty good. Skips by, though. He won't go to third. And the 6th stolen base of the year for Travius Ford.
And he was hopping around, kind of going on 1,001, 1,002. Okay, let's go. And it was another fastball. Gave the catcher, Beetle, a chance. Just short-armed the throw. And, well, I also want to give the flowers to Ford. He's pretty quick moving from base to base.
He said he's coming for the record this year. 27 for 27 was Elijah Brown last year. And
he's just
pretty good start for Ford, given the fact that he has openly said he's going for the record. 6 stolen bases in 7 games.
Right now, he's still not the league leader. He's still chasing Florentino. Maybe he'll try to get it stealing third.
Smoked down the third baseline by Bolin, but foul. And Ford is a guy who's not a stranger to trying to go for third. Bolin waiting on the 1-2. Ford dancing at second base. That is well outside, and this is the type of stuff that makes Travius Ford valuable beyond what he does at the plate and in the field. It's the stuff on the base paths, and it just looked like that pitch there, the dancing, the game playing at second, maybe throws Martin off a little bit. There he goes for third. That one's well inside. The throw down to third, not in time, and quickly 2 stolen bases for Travius Ford. He's now up to 7 on the year.
Think he heard us telling him he's not in first place, and now, hey, he got it.
He maybe, but he does have that mindset. He is very open and outspoken about, if I get on first, I want to be on third before the at-bat is over.
Well, again, same situation. Threw a fastball the previous pitch, was probably thinking an off-speed was coming. That time it did, and there was no chance for Beetle to get him.
3-2 on the ground. Ford's going to come home. It gets away from Blinn, just ate him up. And that probably goes into the books as an error, and the Beavers inch closer. It's 5-4.
And I think Blinn was looking up, trying to check the runner at third, and Ford, knowing he's fast, knowing it got by the third baseman, he was more worried about the runner at third than the play in front of him. And instead of worrying about which play he was going to make, he didn't end up making one at all.
So that's an unearned run on Martin, the second unearned run today. And Taylor Jellikowski has seen enough. Doesn't want him to go any deeper. He's got 4 games to play this week. Has to save his arms as best as he can. So Tyler Richley takes over when we come back on the US PBL Network.
Companies are competing for talent like never before. With the complexities of handling tasks like payroll, benefits administration, and other HR functions, it's easy to see how a professional employer organization like Tryon Solutions makes all the difference. Tryon empowers businesses of all sizes to attract and retain talent by offering access to top-tier healthcare and employee benefit plans. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
We build roads, bridges, wind farms and pipelines, schools to skyscrapers. Our members create monuments. We operate. We're the operators and mechanics behind the advanced heavy machines that move Michigan forward. We maintain boilers and HVAC. Our members run the complex heating and cooling systems that we all depend on. Our training is second to none, and safety is our priority. We are Operating Engineers 324, and we keep Michigan running.
How do these business owners find the time for peace of mind? Because they rely on Tryon to handle difficult and time-consuming HR tasks like payroll, benefits administration, and more. Working with Tryon, one of the nation's top professional employer organizations, provides access to top-tier healthcare and employee benefit plans and its team of attorneys and HR experts. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
Tyler Richley's turn for the Mammoths here in the bottom of the 6th with 1 out and a runner on first, as the day for Garrett Martin is done. And pretty good. 5 1/3, 4 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk and 3 strikeouts, and just a lot of soft contact all day.
Yeah, and you look, the one extra base, well, he had 2 extra base hits given up. The one with Bolin wasn't hit particularly hard, just hitting the right spot down the line. And I think the line won't be as kind to him as his performance was today, but there's a lot more good than bad coming out of this game for Garrett Martin.
Richley, a guy who was here last year with these Mammoths. Found 12 2/3 innings, all coming in relief. Had a 4.97 ERA, 14 walks to 24 strikeouts. Coming out of Ball State 2 years ago. Outside on the 0-2. Spears today. 1 for 1, does have a sac fly and a double.
Productive day from Spears, and well, chance you can find one in the gap. Maybe could add another RBI. How about the response from the Beavers since that Burrell home run? They put up 2 in the bottom half of the inning. Again, calm the waters a bit, slow down the momentum. Adding 1 here in the 6th with a chance to add more. Now you're right back in this ball game.
Swing and a miss. Spears down on strikes. First strikeout for Richley. All the strikeouts today for the Mammoths. 3 for Martin, 1 for Richley have been swinging. A couple looking on the other side that the Beavers have gotten. Brings up Andreas Ugarte.
Put a drive into one last time to the deepest part of the ballpark in center field. If he pulls it down the line, it hits the Chevy Pavilion, but Hit it straight, went about 390 feet. Unfortunately, center field's about 395.
0-1, foul back. Ugarte always found has an interesting story, foreign born in Valencia, Venezuela. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back Ks for Tyler Richley. That's something that makes him so valuable out of that bullpen for the Mammoths, his ability to come in and throw strikes and strike batters out. He does just that, strands a runner. It's still 5-4. The Mammoths lead it as we head to the 7th.
Throughout your life, from big moments to ones well earned, we're your financial guardian angel. Alliance Catholic Credit Union. Five-4 advantage for the Mammoths as they lead it over the Beavers. We're in the 7th inning, and Michael Esposito takes over on the mound for the Beavers. A newcomer to the USPBL coming from South Carolina. One of the only other left-handers in the league. He'll go ahead and face Priamo Lozada, Nick Webb, and Alex Steinbach. Was in the American Association earlier this summer with Sioux City. So at one point was a teammate of his current Beavers teammate, Malik Bolin, the Sioux City Explorers.
Yeah, just spent 4 innings there. He's bounced around a bit since leaving South Carolina, but that's about as big time of college baseball as you can get. We talked with Coach Dombrowski before this game and said, some guys that don't come from big-time college baseball never played in front of a crowd like you can get at Utica where there's 3,500 people watching you, and it can be a little bit of a culture shock because the whole time, hey, you're playing in front of your parents, you'll get those little stands down each line, and, yeah, you might have 100 people at the game, but coming from South Carolina, I think he's seen some pretty rowdy crowds down there.
Yeah, SEC baseball is about as big as it gets as far as college baseball. Swing and a miss for Lozada, strike one. A guy who comes into the league with a lot of velocity, one of the harder strike throwers, and those are at a premium at South Carolina. High walks, but also high strikeouts. He averaged 16 Ks per 9 innings with the Gamecocks. And there are 3 straight strikes to one of the best hitters in the Mammoths lineup, and down on Ks is Lozada.
It's got to be a frustrating night for Lozada. He struck out now 3 times, has the hat trick, but the one ball he did hit it really hard right back at the pitcher. It's been a rough night for Lozada. Hopefully he can figure it out, but you're the first guy that has to face a hard-throwing lefty out of the SEC. That's not an enviable position to be in.
First pitch is a ball to
Webb. And for Esposito to go 3 pitches and a strikeout to Lozada has to be a good feeling in his debut, a guy who has bounced around because of the lack of control. And now all of a sudden, 2 balls and no strikes on Nick Webb.
And control can come and go, heck, between batters.
You had more walks than strikeouts at Longwood Community College back in 2019 before transferring to South Carolina. Averaged 9 walks per 9. He matched it with 8 strikeouts per 9 innings, but the walks are just something that is not going to be very forgivable.
And when you get a pitcher like this, you have to have the quick leash. Hey, you know right away it's either on and you're going to get a solid outing and you're going to get high strikeouts, or it's not. And you almost have to have someone ready to start getting warm in the bullpen as soon as he goes out for a guy that can be very volatile.
And a full count. As we mentioned, this is Esposito's debut, so the first we're getting to see him here in the USPBL. The velocity is definitely there. 91 on that last fastball by our gun up here at the booth. Guy who can probably average closer to the mid-90s. The 3-2 again. Outside, and he walked him. Just couldn't find it. A really good battle from Nick Webb to work the walk. And a 1 on and 1 out for Alex Steinbach.
I'm talking with coaches that have had pitchers like what Esposito is. The best way to describe them is they're really good at getting themselves into trouble and they're good at getting themselves out of trouble. It's a big give and take when you have the high walk and high strikeout rates.
I think as the manager, you just have to play that game with him and, like you said, see which one it is on the night. When he goes out there and, a 4-pitch walk, all right, maybe tonight's not his night, get somebody up in the bullpen. But 3 strikes right to Lozada, you'd have to imagine Esposito can get out of this inning with no damage and get a much-needed 0 up on the board for the Beavers trying to come back in this game.
You might tell him, hey, this is your inning. We're trying to extend our pitching as best we can. This is the first game of a weekend. We're not going to burn through a ton of arms. Hey, this is your chance, your inning. Do what you want with it. Try to keep us in this game.
The 1-1 inside. Did it clip Steinbach? It did.
And Esposito's as confused as I am.
He thought it hit the dirt first. I thought it did too live from back here.
We'll take another look, but I don't think it hit him as we look back up in our booth. That
maybe on the replay.
I think that's a good sell job by Steinbach.
There was no argument from the home plate umpire, so Steinbach coasts down to first base on a hit by pitch. That's 2 on and 1 out for Reese Trahey.
Well, and that's what a lot of managers or coaches in any sport will tell you to do. Make the official tell you no. Whether it's baseball, hey, start going down to first and make them pull you back, or in any other sport, and you always see in football, you act like you get the turnover, make the official tell you no, and I have to imagine that's what Steinbach did. Looking back at that replay, I don't think that it caught him, but he acted like it, and the umpire didn't have a good enough view to disagree.
What's the farthest you could go making an official tell you no? What's the worst thing you think you could try to get away with?
Ooh, in just baseball or anything?
I think we'll start with baseball.
I mean, baseball, it's usually going down to first, or sometimes I think they even do it when the pitcher starts to walk off, or the catcher. Usually, probably the worst you could do is the catcher gets it and just tosses it back to the mound as if it's strike 3.
Right.
That's probably the worst one you could get away with in baseball.
One of the videos that went viral at College World Series season right now, a fake robbed home run.
Oh, that was
from, I believe that was Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't remember what. But, left fielder acted like he robbed the home run.
Indiana
he revealed
State
it, though.
Against Iowa.
Yeah, Indiana State. That's who it was, the Sycamores.
You had the blue and white, right?
Yeah, we were close enough.
There's one, and then there's the old clip from like the 2000s of the Arkansas player that tried to sell getting hit by a pitch. He didn't, and then strikes out and gets very quickly tossed after that.
The 2-2 runner from second goes swing and a miss for Trahey. Strike out there. Down to third base is Nick Webb. Good base running as he's safe. Runners on the corners now with 2 outs. Brings up the catcher, Beadle.
Didn't swing, but I thought that was a pretty all right pitch. Maybe a tad inside.
It's ball 1 on Beadle. Blinn waiting on deck. Over at third is Webb, and at first is Steinbach.
Ooh, wow. It should be 1-1, but not the way we got there. That last pitch was in on the hands big time.
That inside part of the plate is a strike tonight.
The only problem, I guess the previous pitch had to have missed up high, because it was more on the plate than the next one.
The 1-2, runner goes, fouled back. So Steinbach will return to first. Steinbach waits, doesn't go this time. Swing and a miss. The ball gets away, and now the throw down to first is not in time. He's safe. Ugarte couldn't grab it, stumbled, and it's a drop third strike that loads the bases with 2 outs.
I think the grass gave way, the lip of the grass on that third base line. It just as the third baseline, right where it starts to go on the foul territory side, and the lip is what Ugarte slipped on, and you saw him patting it down with his foot. That's an unfortunate break for Esposito, who now has 3 strikeouts in the inning but still has to pitch.
The 0-1 to Blinn. Check swing. He went, apparently.
I think it was just a called strike.
Been a strike anyways.
Ugarte does a really nice job selling. That's one thing when I was able to talk with Duncan Hewitt when he joined me for a game. He was very complimentary of how Ugarte can influence strikes and steal strikes throughout a game.
Blinn today 0 for 2. Hit by a pitch back in the 4th. Scored then. Looking to add to his 2 RBI total on the season with the bases juiced. At third is Webb. At second is Steinbach. And at first is Beadle. Swing and a miss. That is 4 strikeouts in the inning for Mike Esposito in his USPBL debut. Leaves the score right where it is. 5-4 Beavers batting after the stretch on the USPBL network. A close game we have here into the bottom of the 7th. Just a 1-run advantage for the Mammoths. And Tyler Richley will try to keep it there, facing Yoshida, Judd, and Wilcoxon, barring any pinch hitters here in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, Richley did such a nice job. Why do anything to mess it up?
Came in last inning in relief for Garrett Martin and immediately struck out Spears and Ugarte to get out of the inning. First pitch to Yoshida. Outside edge for a strike. Richley, fastball, curveball, changeup, and a slider. Almost exclusively throws that changeup that he has to lefties and the slider to righties. Doesn't tend to mix it. So it's essentially a 3-pitch mix based on whatever batter he is facing in their handedness. So some of the off-speed we'll see here, the Yoshida, would be changeups.
I like to mix in maybe 1 and 2 just once in a while. Again, not every game, but just once in a while, mix it up and change it.
Swing and a miss, and that is 3 straight strikeouts for Tyler Richley since he stepped on the rubber. And the first out here in the 7th.
Even if it's just something to throw off the analytics, hey, throw a slider every 20 pitches to a righty, just so they have to think about it. So when you get a scouting report and you go, okay, they threw this, you can't say it's 100% he never throws the changeup to the lefty or the slider to the righty or whatever it is. Just change it up every once in a while.
That last one might have been the changeup there for strike 1. Judd, 0 for 2 so far. A couple of ground outs back to the pitcher. His 2 times up. Skies this one foul and back over the seats. Richley has thrown 14 pitches since he stepped on, 2 of them outside the strike zone for a ball. Here's the 0-2. And that's lined past the shortstop, Blinn, and Judd gets on base with a 2-out single.
That was a neck-high fastball, and Judd climbed the ladder for the second time that at-bat. He got all of it. He barreled it up. That's a hard-hit single for Judd, who really hadn't put a really good swing on one yet today.
Check that, just a 1-out single brings up Ben Wilcoxon. Wilcoxon had the nice sliding defensive play earlier in this game over at short to save a base runner. One gets away from Beadle for a moment.
Brendan, I have to say it was a hazy couple of days, but right now, sky looks pretty nice, and it's a beautiful night for some baseball right now. Very picturesque here at Jimmy John's Field.
Always a good-looking place to take in a game.
Very blue sky for how late it is in the evening.
We're at that part of the summer where you look up and it feels like it's 10 o'clock and the sun's still out.
Well, it's 9:10 and the lights are on, but it's not particularly dark out.
Tipped for strike 2 by Wilcoxon. We thank you so much for joining us here tonight on the USPBL Network. Hope you are also enjoying some warm weather wherever you're watching at home. Rosalind Bishop rooting for Travius Ford, watching from Greenville, North Carolina. Tyrone Jackson out in Boston.
It's always cool to see where everyone's watching from, even if we don't necessarily always read it online, but it's always cool to see the reach that this league has throughout the country.
Runner goes, throw down to second, well over the head of second baseman Trahey, and that's a stolen base for Marcus Judd.
I don't know if Beadle thought he had to make the throw from his knees, but he kind of threw it almost from a submarine spot, and There was never a chance. Yeah, that was a sidearm flick that, I mean, Judd was never in danger.
Ron Matheny watching from Clarksburg, West Virginia. People all over the place. I think on a previous broadcast, I don't think you were here, I think it was Alex, we reached, I think, 9 or 12 states and we reached 2 other countries.
Was one of them Canada?
No, actually.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Canada might be cheating.
This one's on the ground to second to Trahey. He'll scoop and flip it over to first for the second out. I believe it was the Dominican Republic and Venezuela.
Well, that would make sense. We have guys from both those countries. Let's say if it's Canada, from Utica, we're probably 15 miles from the border.
Right.
I mean, from where I live and where I've grown up, I walk out my door, I turn down my road, and I see Canada.
Yeah.
So it's something that you get used to having another country just right there.
That's one of the age-old trivia questions. What is directly south of Detroit? A lot of people would say Ohio, and it's not Ohio. It's Canada.
It is Windsor, Canada. Journey had it wrong. There is no South Detroit. It's just the Hart Plaza and the Westside.
Right, that's the river. You get too far south. It's for the fact that there is no South Detroit. That lyric is always screamed at Detroit sporting events, and I think Detroiters are just proud to be mentioned in a Journey song. Huh?
I'll tell you what. Me and my family and a couple buddies, we had the privilege of going over to Toronto when the Wings went over there, and me and my buddies went out to an establishment after. And when that song came on, it was like, wait, that's us, because we're in an establishment in Toronto with all our Red Wing stuff on, and everyone looked at us weird, like, you don't get it. You're not from Michigan.
Davis smoked it foul. It's they call it the pride of Detroit, being proud to be from Detroit and the surrounding metro area, especially when it comes to sports.
One of the best sports towns, and it's a reason why, an extension of this here at Jimmy John's Field, why the USPBL has been so successful.
Full count to Davis. And I might be a little biased here. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brady. There's no city more deserving of a championship in the near future than this city.
Yep.
Those Lions, man, you never know. The 3-2. Check swing. Did he go? He did. Davis went around and richly has struck out 4 since he came on in relief. Strands a runner over at third. And we head to the 8th here on the USPBL Network.
What are the odds that we're neighbors, we've known each other our whole lives, and both tear the exact same things in this exact same knee?
So an ACL tear is an injury to the main stabilizing structure of the knee.
You want a good team around you, because then you know that what you're doing is going to help you in the long run.
My message to everyone who's helped me, thank you so much, because you guys helped me progress so much.
Also hearing it from a friend that's went through the exact same thing, I think sort of helps that know that there's a bright side at the end.
We're for people, the pioneers, the underdogs, the players, and the slow and steadies. We're for people, for who they are and who they could become. Yes, we're a bank, and some say our business is all about money, but that's an old idea. Because look past the money, and you'll see real human lives. We see it, because we're for people. Huntington, welcome.
John Buchelaer takes over for the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers, top of the 8th, trailing by a run. We'll face the top of the order. Ward Hacklin, Burl Dixon, and Francis Florentino. Bucalaire, one of the better relievers early on in this season. He's already up to 7 1/3 innings, which is on the higher end of the spectrum this early through just 7 or 8 games for a lot of these teams, and a 2.45 ERA. And look at that.
And he is
quickly working on the mound.
Well, yeah, he is a unique pitcher. You remember Bucalaire when you see him. That low squat. And he's got to be a reliever. I couldn't imagine that if he's starting and he has to do that 85 times in a game, that his legs wouldn't get tired.
Swing and a miss for Hacklin, 1-2. He's got that Craig Kimbrell kind of Kenley Jansen stare at you down low from the stretch approach.
I'll have to talk with him and figure out how he did he do that since he started pitching? Or was that something that he developed later on in his career? Because no pitching coach is ever going to tell you to do that.
Teach you to do that, yeah. That was a good-looking slider on that last pitch. Just misses, though, 2-2. It's a four-seam fastball, slider, and sinker for Bucalaire. 2-2. Fastball got him. Strike 3.
That's a nice job against a very productive bat today in Ward Hacklin. Now let's see how aggressive he is with Burl Dixon. Nobody on. The later innings, don't make a mistake. If this is the middle, 4th, 5th inning, maybe I challenge, but I think Burl's had a pretty nice approach at the plate today.
He's reached in 3 of his 4 plate appearances, 2 of them for walks, and the other a 3-run bomb back in the 4th. I think when this season is all said and done, Burl Dixon might be the league leader in pitches per at-bat. Just loves to force a pitcher to come into the strike zone, fight off foul balls.
Well, and he's a very smart baseball player as well. You saw the play in center field. We've seen him lay down a bunt. He knows if they're playing so far back that I can be useful. I have speed. I put it on just put a bunt down. Hey, that gets my average up. Get on base. Helps everyone else out. He is a very heads-up ball player. And again, when you just look at the lineup and you go, okay, who's probably the guy to look out for, not knowing anything else, Burl Dixon would be one of those guys that jump out immediately.
And, I mean, he's the one who's got professional experience both in independent leagues and in the minor leagues before coming here. This is a bounty ball past Stubbs. Judd makes the play, throws, and not in time as Bucalaire caught it on a bobble, but Dixon with enough speed, he probably beat out that throw anyways.
Yeah, I think it's a moot point.
So a 1-out infield base hit for Dixon, and speed on the base paths now for the Mammoths, trying to add some insurance here in the 8th.
Brendan, in this situation, do you try to get Dixon into scoring position? Do you let Florentino hit? He hasn't had a great day. Singled his first time up, but has been held silent since.
The tough thing is with how fast Bucalaire works on the mound. He's getting that ball back to the catcher within 7 to 10 seconds. You know, he's coming set pretty quickly. Now that changes a little bit with the runner on. And they go. Throw down from Ugarte. Did the tag hit him on the head? It did. The throw was up the first base side. Judd caught it, and when he caught it, it was right on the logo of Burl Dixon's helmet, and that is a big runner cut down at second base.
That was the only spot Ugarte could have thrown it and gotten Dixon out. That is one heck of a throw from Ugarte. When you don't have to move the glove to tag someone, that's a pretty darn good throw.
Looked like a Javi Baez tag out there from Judd.
The one thing you're talking about, though, with Bucalaire moving quickly, sometimes when guys move quickly, they become predictable. And they get into a rhythm, and you can try to gauge when they're going to throw it.
Inside, nearly caught Florentino, 3 balls and a strike. And even more important now that they got Dixon at second base, because Florentino's in a good hitter's count.
Yeah, you can pitch around Florentino. A walk here, now not that big of a deal.
Middled the fastball, and Florentino took a wave at it, but full count 3-2. That one is well outside. Skips past Ugarte and adds another runner. So a strikeout, a single, and a runner caught stealing, and a walk so far for Bucalaire. Now Duncan Hewitt pinch hitting for Priamo Lozada. Hewitt is the only available bat off the bench for Taylor Jellikowski. Jordan Hussein is on the roster, but he is currently on the IR right now with a hamstring issue. So Hewitt, the catcher, steps in the DH spot, swings and misses.
That one hummed by him. Sit on the bench for a couple hours, then the first pitch you see, fastball, that's moving pretty quickly.
Now the 0-1 outside.
And I'm thinking Taylor Jellikowski, with the way Lozado's day has went, 3 strikeouts is 1 line out, maybe a bit frustrated, calm him down a bit and say, hey, we'll get back at it. Just don't want to kill the confidence any more than it already has been.
Runner down to second. Florentino, I think they got him again. They did. Ugarte with a throw. Judd with a leaping catch and tag, and Florentino was caught just before the base. That is 2 runners cut down at second, and the Beavers are out of the inning. A chance to tie it in the home half of the 8th when we come back.
There are things you can rely on in this world, like your dog being happy to see you, coffee getting you through the day, and the government changing business regulations. And when it comes to navigating those regulations, you can rely on Tryon and its team of attorneys. Tryon can also tackle time-consuming HR tasks like payroll and employee benefits, so you can stay focused on growing your business. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
Make your move with a quick and easy mortgage from Genesis Credit Union. We have mortgages to fit your life. Genesis Credit Union. Visit us today.
Nathan Witt gets the call here in the bottom of the 8th to face the Beavers. He'll go against Ford, Stubbs, and Bolin, barring any substitutions, with a 1-run lead.
These are the spots you want to be entrusted in as a reliever. Hey, 1-run lead. You're in the late innings. Give me the ball. I want to be out there. I want to be out there. And we'll see if he goes 1 or 2 innings, but
Witt, a guy who has a bunch of professional experience and recent. He was a native of Goodrich, Michigan, spent a season with Michigan State in 2017, then was drafted by the Dodgers, spent 2 seasons in rookie ball with their organization, 3 years in the Tampa Bay Rays minor leagues organization, got up as high as Double-A in 2021 and 22. He was signed this year, back on January 10th, from the Rays by the Blue Jays to the Double-A New Hampshire Fisher Cats, where he was then released just 2 months ago on March 24th. Finds himself here in the USPBL, and when I asked Taylor Jellikowski about it, he kind of smirked a little bit, thinks this might be his sleeping ringer, who comes in and says Witt can throw as high as 100.
Well, that would be a lot of fun to see.
There is some velocity on that first one. Strike one to Ford.
And it's not hard to see why a lot of major league organizations liked him with the size 6'4", 235. That's pretty workable for most teams.
Big righty is a two-seam fastball, cutter, and a slider. That last one was the slider getting away. Ford today. Walk, strikeout, lineout. Did score after his walk in the 6th. Looks at that pitch inside the two-seam. And with a guy who throws as hard as Witt, only 3 pitches, but that's just a tough mix to look at. The two-seam goes into righties and away from lefties. The cutter does the opposite, and then that sweeping kind of slider, that's the off-speed one.
Well, late inning relievers, for the most part, you won't see a 5-pitch repertoire. You'll see sometimes 2 pitches. You will see something fast, something not as fast. And usually the fastballs, if you're not up near 99, 100, they're going to have some sort of movement, like with Witt, the two-seam and the cutter.
Outside, Ford takes the walk, and he is pumped up about that dangerous base runner on to lead things off here in the 8th. And Travius Ford is so fast that I can confidently say, after one batter, there is something brewing for the Beavers this inning.
Yes, there is, but Witt throws hard, and he throws a lot of fastballs. Not the easiest pitcher to steal on.
Brings up Stubbs. Righty-lefty matchup. As it's scheduled, the only lefty that Witt will face, and he immediately is worried about Ford over there at first base, and Travius Ford loves it. He loves drawing all the attention and being a distraction, a nuisance over there at the bag. Big secondary lead. Ford's going to go on the first pitch. This is grounded to right field. Ford's going to go all the way to third. First to third on one pitch. As J.D. Stubbs puts a runner in scoring position. They're loaded on the corners with nobody out.
And Ford was pumped up. You could hear him from up in the booth. Let's go. Echoed throughout Jimmy John's field. And that's the value Ford brings. You're stealing, so the second baseman comes over, the base hit to where he would have been. And now Malik Bolin doesn't have to put one over the fence, doesn't need to find a gap. Hit a ground ball up the middle. A 2-ball ties it right now. I'm a little surprised the Mammoths playing in double play depth.
Well, I think I was going to say perhaps anything even in the infield, with the infield drawn in, might still score Ford. He's going on anything on the ground for sure, and I think Jellikowski and the Mammoths are conceding that run and trying to force a line out or a fly out from Bolin here. Or maybe they get a strikeout with Witt. The 1-0 in there for strike one.
That's what you're pitching for. You're pitching for a strikeout. Maybe try to get weak contact, but when you're a late inning guy, you're looking for that punch out. Now, Bolin put a ball in play every time he's come to the bat.
Fouled off. Bolin singled and scored in the 4th. He grounded out in the 2nd, and then in the 6th, reached on an error to the shortstop. Two on, nobody out. Witt called on to take the 8th in a 1-2 count. Skips away a nice block there by Beadle to snag that on the bounce. So 2-2.
And you just choke up, try to put a ball in play any way you can.
This is back to the pitcher. Witt looks the runner at third, and everybody's going to be safe. The third baseman, Steinbach, came in on the ground ball that Witt fielded, so Ford was able to move up without having to be worried about getting caught back going to third. Witt looked him back. Ford just went back to third, and everybody's safe. Bases loaded, nobody out.
And I thought with the high chopper that if Ford went right away, he would have been safe. But it was the right idea from Witt. He looked over at third. He had Ford off the base. The problem was his third baseman was about 10 feet from him and nowhere near the bag.
So now the infield is well drawn in for Tremaine Spears. So they scored that as a hit on the scoreboard. I don't know, Brady. I think that might be a fielder's choice. That's a tough one.
Because the reason why I believe it should be a fielder's choice, and baseball scoring is something that, Brendan, we can do this for another 40 years and we won't fully understand it. But he looked back to third. He was trying to get it out. He chose to get the out with Ford. Now, just because he didn't get it doesn't mean that negates the fielder's choice. Still, I think that's a generous hit.
Inside, and that hits Tremaine Spears. Ties the game at 5, and the bases stay loaded with nobody out. So the hit by pitch sends Spears to first, Bolin to second, Stubbs over to third, and we're tied at 5.
And now you go from lead preservation to, oh no, it's the bottom of the 8th. The bases are loaded, nobody out. If they push across another run, we have to score in the 9th. How quickly the momentum's flipped, and the Mammoths have been winning this game since Jump Street, and the Beavers chopping away.
And that's what
away.
That's what we talked about with Ford. One walk means there's trouble already with nobody out, and then Stubbs with it. That's a really big first pitch single. All of a sudden, Spears has thrown 5 pitches, and we've got runners on the corners with nobody out. Infield drawn in again. Check swing foul ball from Ugarte.
And it goes back to the response after the Burrell-Dixon home run. It's 5-1, and you're thinking, all right, the Mammoths are sitting pretty. Just need to keep it going. And the Beavers got 2 runs in the bottom of the 4th. Then they got 1 in the 6th. Now 1 in the 8th. Now they're trying to get a crooked number up in the 8th.
A 1 chopped foul. 0-2. And if the Beavers do end up winning this game, they've already come back to tied it. If you're the Mammoths, you have to look at the left on base number. 10 so far this game. The Beavers have only left 3 on base up until this point.
The expert analysis, not good.
The 0-2 swing and a miss, and a much-needed strikeout from Nathan Witt. Just the first out of the inning.
The gun up here had that at 90. I might want to throw the challenge flag on it. That got up on it on Ugarte pretty darn quickly.
That was Seth Beard that you saw warming up in the Mammoths bullpen. Infield still drawn in with only 1 out. The bases juiced. David Meach pinch hitting here for Shoma Yoshida. This is grounded. Diving but unable to make the play was Blinn. 1 run scores. Coming around is Bolin. It's softly into left. Finally Hacklin grabs it, but not in time before Meach gets a 2 RBI pinch hit single for the go-ahead runs here in the 8th.
And that's tough to do. Come off the bench, Cole. You're facing a new arm, much like we saw in the top half of the inning. But he takes a hack at the first pitch he sees. Doesn't hit it very hard with the infield in. It's hard for Blinn to make a play. And soft hit ground ball gets him 2 RBIs and the lead for the Beavers.
Stubbs and Bolin come across. Meach with the base hit. Throw to third as the runner went. And Spears is safe over there at third base.
Witt just lost track of the runner on second. That's a heads-up play by Spears, and that's easy to do when you get into a tough inning like this, when it's unraveling. You're just so focused, hey, I got to get the batter. I cannot let this keep getting worse. And Spears recognized it, just took off for third, and, well, Witt was in knots.
skips away from Beadle. Spears will hold at third base. Those RBIs for David Meach are the first of the year for him and the first of his professional career. Want to know on Judd. Back up the middle. Throw to second for one from Witt. Throw to first will not be made as Blinn just juggled it. And that scores another run for the Beavers.
And let's take a look at how this inning has gone down. Let's dissect it for a minute. Because on the scoreboard, it's been a big inning. But when you take it at bat by at bat, there hasn't been anything outstanding that the Beavers have done. Leadoff walk. And then a ground ball hit to the right side that would have been an out if Ford wasn't stealing. Then the fielder's choice on the high chopper, give it a hit, whatever, softly hit ball. After that, you hit a guy to bring them in, the strikeout, and then a C&I single to the left side, and then that fielder's choice brings in a run. Haven't had a ball get to the outfield outside of the slowest ground ball of the inning, and yet 4 runs have come across the score.
It's the small ball that the Beavers like to play with the speed that they have. Guys like Wilcoxon at the plate, Judd, who's over there at first. Obviously, Ford, Davis with a little bit of speed. Spears is going to steal some bases. Using that to their advantage, aggressive base running. It's part of the philosophy for this Beavers team.
And so much of the game now is, hey, 3 true outcomes. Home run, walk, or strikeout. And this inning, just putting the ball in play is proven worthwhile for the Beavers.
Throw back to first, and it got away from
hit Judd.
Webb. I think Judd caught it.
I think in the thigh. He tried to get up, but that could not have felt good. I think it got him in that right thigh, and there's not a whole lot of depth. And Judd if it just caught him flush in the thigh, there's not much you can do besides walk it off. I mean, it's going to leave a bruise. And
put some ice on it.
Yeah, he's probably going to get up tomorrow and say a few words. and yeah, a little upset. Tried to backpick going, come on, just catch the ball.
Now Judd's going to go on the 3-1, and that is strike 2, and Judd is safe over there at second base. Thought it might have been ball 4 for a moment. But a stolen base for Judd puts him in scoring position.
Didn't hurt him too bad.
Wonder if any of that was maybe acting a little bit.
Well,
keep everybody
I'm sure
off
he's
balance.
thinking, well, you're going to throw down. I'm going to get my money's worth. But that one was on the middle infielders. I think if Trahey is over in time, he can get that tag down, but he wasn't, and got the stolen base.
Punched into right field and dropping in fair territory. Judd coming around second. He'll score. Going to second is Wilcoxon on RBI double. Tacks on another. It's 9-5 in the bottom of the 8th. And how about the steal from Judd? That was his second of the game. Put him in scoring position, and he scores easily on the big hit from Wilcoxon. It's now 5 runs this inning.
Judd's still moving a little slowly back in the dugout. But, yeah, 9th batter, Chris Davis, doesn't make it any easier. That was the first hard-hit ball, really, of the inning.
First ball that landed in the outfield. That's only the 3rd hit of the inning.
And through 8 batters, only throwing 26 pitches is, well, he hasn't had to labor in a lot of counts. Well, just a little over 3 a batter.
Yeah, the Beavers are just liking what they see, I guess, from Witt. The 0-1. Wilcoxon waits at second. Swing and a miss. Davis has not been as productive today as he has been coming into today's game. Fly out in the first. A sac fly in the third that scored Wilcoxon. Ground out in the fifth and a strikeout in the seventh. 0 for on the day. Now 0-2 behind check swing, and he got called looking. Strike 3 on the outside corner. Witt finally gets out of it, but a 3-hit and 5-run 8th inning, trailing by a run, gives the Beavers the lead, and now all of a sudden it's the last chance for the Mammoths in the top of the ninth when we come back.
The Dave & Buster's method is designed to help you unlearn adulthood and discover the funner you hidden within you. The you that doesn't think about adult things and stuff. Ashley, I don't want to hear anything about your car registration when we're at Dave & Buster's.
Okay.
The you want to be. Let the Dave & Buster's method illuminate you. Begin the method today with 5 free games. You know you want to.
Why are all these business owners smiling? Because they rely on Tryon to handle difficult and time-consuming HR tasks like payroll, benefits administration, and more. Working with one of the nation's top professional employer organizations provides access to top-tier healthcare and employee benefit plans and Tryon's team of attorneys and HR experts. With Tryon, you don't have to grow it alone. Visit RelyOnTryon.com.
You can always rely on Tryon.
Fifth Third Extra Time helps you do you better. So kick back and relax. You have extra time to avoid overdraft fees. Fifth Third Extra Time. This is banking a Fifth Third better.
David Meach pinch hitting here for Shoma Yoshida. This is grounded. Diving but unable to make the play was Blinn. Back at 1-run scores. Coming around is Bolin. It's softly into left. Finally Hacklin grabs it, but not in time before Meach gets a 2 RBI pinch hit single for the go-ahead runs here in the 8th.
And that's tough to do. Come off the bench, Cole.
That's what happened last half inning to give the Beavers a lead after trailing 5-4 heading into the bottom of the 8th. Now the Mammoths need some magic here in the top of the 9th to come back in this game. Trailing 9-5, Duncan Hewitt was up last time, but Francis Florentino was caught stealing to end the inning, so Hewitt back up to face Bucalaire, and 3 pitches, and that's all she wrote for the first out. Second strikeout for Bucalaire. He came on and had the 8th. Thought they might switch him, but he's going to get the 9th as well.
They only faced 3 batters, and again, you have a lot of games coming up. Bucalaire's 21 pitches. You can rest him for a couple days, bring him back in relief. Maybe not long relief, but he's not going to be a guy you're going to ask to go 4 or 5 innings. So not a bad spot for Bucalaire and the Beavers to be in.
Now Nick Webb, the only scheduled lefty for Bucalaire to face, but if Webb or Steinbach after him get on, Reese Trahey is another lefty waiting in the wings as Webb fouls that one back 0-2. Bucalaire early in the season, good against both sides. Lefties are 2 for 17 against him. Righties 1 for 7. The 0-2 under the zone. Close. People wanted strike 3 here in the grandstands.
It was low. That's the right call. I think you could even hear it from the Beavers dugout. Sounds traveling right now here at Jimmy John's.
The 1-2. Got him, strike 3. A delayed call from our home plate umpire on the outside edge. Back-to-back Ks, and now it's all up to Alex Steinbach.
It was a bit away, but one thing that Ugarte did, and give credit to Bucalaire as well, they set up away. So when that mitt doesn't move and he just catches it and sticks it, whether the umpire consciously or subconsciously thinks so, hey, he hit a spot, that's close, yeah, strike 3, it's a lot different. Hey, you set up inside, you reach out to that same spot, probably not getting the call.
Steinbach looks at a slider, That misses. Buclair quickly going. Trying to get out of this inning and this game. Fastball blew it by him for strike one. Skips by. Steinbach today. Strikeout, line out, strikeout, and a hit by pitch. And they're down to their last strike. 5 runs on 6 hits and 2 errors for the Mammoths. For the Beavers, 9 runs on 7 hits and no errors. The Mammoths have left 11 men on base in this game. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. What a comeback for the Beavers in the bottom of the 8th. Down a run. They put up 5 on the board, and Buclair comes on to strike out the side in the 9th for a comeback win here to start the weekend.
The perseverance from the Beavers. Again, they did not look like they were going to have a lot of fun tonight. Down 5-1. Burl Dixon hits a mammoth home run, and again, just chop away. Hey, settle it down in the 4th, get some in the 6th, and then blow it open in the 8th. And the pitching, let's give credit to the rest of the pitching at Ryan Mann, Brian Camacho, Mike Esposito, John Buclair, all came in, and they kept it close. They were putting zeros up on the board, gave your bats a chance, and they came through for them for a big win.
And Buclair strikes out 4, walks 1 in the 6 batters he faced. And boy, what an impressive 9th inning it was. He only threw 2 pitches outside the strike zone to gather the win for the Beavers. His first win here in the USPBL, and a pretty good way to do it. Has to be pretty thankful to his offense for what they did in the bottom half of the 8th.
And again, that's just chipping away, just keeping the process and trusting what you're doing will work. And hey, that's a really nice come from behind win. It's a pretty happy occasion over on that third base dugout.
David Meach had the big pinch hit 2-run single in the bottom half of the 8th to score a couple runs for the Beavers and ultimately give them the win. He is standing down by Carol Wolfbauer, who's going to have our post-game interview in just a few moments. Brady, all in all, a pretty good comeback win for the Beavers.
Yeah, they have to be happy, and for Taylor Jelenkowski and the Westside Woolly Mammoths, they need to figure out what they need to do. They got off to a hot start, and it felt like after the home run, they went, all right, cool, job done, we're good to go, and the Beavers had other ideas.
The Beavers win it by a final score of 9-5 over the Mammoths. The Beavers now on the season move to 4-4. The Mammoths fall to 3-6. Here on the Detroit Mercy postgame show, let's send it down to Kara. Thanks, Kara, as the Beavers come back and win it over the Mammoths 9-5. For Brady Beaton, I'm Brendan Shabath. Brady, your final thoughts on what was a fun way to open the weekend?
It was, and the Mammoths, well, they need to wash this from them as quick as possible. Beavers got a much-needed win, and they did so with some pitching that they have struggled with at times this year. Their bullpen came in big, but the Mammoths have to turn around and need to have a short memory. They're going to face the first-place team in the Utica Unicorns.
It'll be Mammoths and Unicorns tomorrow. First pitch at 7:05 on Macomb County Police Officer Night, presented by Jim Causey Buick GMC here at Jimmy John's Field. Brady will be on the call. Alex Johnson is back tomorrow. Hope you all enjoy it. Have a good rest of your night, everybody.